Let's go, turn that shit up, man.
The following show is for mature audiences only. Shy City Sports.
Watch the tape, and when you see the tape, you know the tape doesn't lie, and the tape doesn't lie.
Giving you a suggestion that you move your show to like Thursday night or Tuesday night, because I want people to actually watch your show. There's so many people here live.
I love the polls hire. I really did. I'm not gonna lie. I've said it. It's documented, well documented. I wanted Brian Daboll. That was my number one guy.
Really?
For a head coach. Yeah, I wanted Daboll. That being said, everything that Eberflus has said, everything I've heard about him, the kind of staff he's brought in, I guess maybe I'm just another member of the occult, but I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on Eberflus. I like everything he said. I thought it was the antithesis of Nagy in terms of his transparency, in terms of how he was going to hold people accountable, in terms of the way he was approaching the game. And one of the things he said that stuck out to me in the initial presser was when they asked him if he was going to call the defensive plays, and he automatically shut it down. He's like, no, that's why I have a defense coordinator. I'm the head coach. I'm the executive coach. And I just think Nagy spent so much fucking time trying to figure out what was his identity? What was this offensive identity? He wasted so much time trying to figure that out that everything else fell by the wayside, and you saw it erode. Every season it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I think this was refreshing to hear. I like his approach a lot more. So I love polls. Eberflus, I didn't know too much about when they hired him, other than obviously how he turned around the Colts defense from, bottom of the barrel defense when he took over to a top 10 unit 4 consecutive years, yada, yada, yada. But I'm pleased with the hires, and I'm looking forward to see what the cultural changes and what the product changes on the field will be this season. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I think there's a lot of work to do with I think the roster is, we could get into that, but the hires themselves, I like it. It's garbage, bro. Like they haven't had guys who are nasty across the front since Kyle Long and since Josh Sitton. That's when they were really, they were nasty across the front, like just guys with attitude who, like, you didn't want to fuck around with them. And you knew that with Kyle right away. And then Sitton was a similar type of player. Now it looks like Jenkins and Barram might be of that same mold in terms of like just being nasty guys. That's what you want. You want those kind of guys. I don't need a guy dancing around like and if that, he sucks anyway. Even when he's good, he's not even that great when he plays and when he's healthy. So, and then, I mean, forget it. And then you had guys like this other guy, what the fuck was his name? The converted undrafted free agent defensive lineman. He was the worst offensive lineman I've ever seen in the history of the NFL.
Coward.
Yeah, Rashad Coward.
I mean,
the 2020 season, the offensive lines that they dragged out there, I mean, some of the assembly of these guys, I've never seen anything worse. So Bars and Mustafa, I'm worried about them, but the question I think originally was, when I think of Pace as a general manager, he was he's too hot or cold, bro. He made some great moves, but he missed far too often, I think, with the high draft picks. And also, one thing I want to add, his cap management and some of these restructured contracts. I just think, like, you're paying Jimmy. What are you paying Jimmy Graham? Why did we pay Andy Dalton $10 million this year? Some of those financial decisions were just mind-boggling, and that was a knock I had on him also. Took that type of a beating, and he just kept coming back. I think he's a good kid. I think he's got his head on his shoulders. And yeah, I think he can be a blue chipper. Again, I'm not holding any stock from this season. So to me, this season coming up is his rookie season. To me, I'm glad he got experience. It was important for him to get game experience. But other than that, he operated under a total ass clown of a head coach. So to me, this is his rookie year. Let's see now a whole clean slate for everybody, and most importantly for number one.
Yeah, he's definitely somebody that you move forward with. I mean, he's still only 22. He was very, very young coming out.
Yep.
He's a guy that I'm moving forward with.
He's a starter for you.
Oh, he's a starter.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Me too. I think he's a starter.
Absolutely. But
he's not blue.
To Mikey's point, is this?
I agree with Mikey.
Is this Revis Island reincarnated? Fuck no.
This guy, he doesn't tackle well. Now I know he's coming off an injury.
And the thing that does, and I understand you want to have that mindset as a corner, and you know that you're never going to get beat, and then you have to have that short term. Oh fuck, I got beat. But to me, Jalen's got to grow up a little bit there, because when he gets beat, he doesn't just let it go. It carries over for a couple of plays from him. That's what bothers me with him, and I'm always concerned about that shoulder. I want to
see him tackle.
Phil,
that might be why he hesitates.
My point. That's my point. He was a top 20 talent all fucking day long in the draft, and he dropped for.
He got injured in Utah. He was hurt
4 times. He's had surgery on that same shoulder,
and he got hurt.
And he's 22 years old.
Well, no. Hey, and the thing about it is, right, and I don't want to knock, somebody's philosophy. That's his decision. But, I feel like if everybody, right, you start out on the same platform, right? Yeah. And it's the individuals who elevate themselves into that role, into that captain's role. So everybody starts off in the same playing field. You earn that honor. You earn that honor. In the NFL, you earn that honor to wear that C on your jersey. You earn that honor to call yourself a captain. And if you haven't earned it, well, guess what? You better try to earn it next year. And if your captain is not if he's not upholding that honor, if he's not upholding those captain's responsibility, well, then guess what? You've got to have the culture in which you can say, hey, he's got to be replaced, because he's not embodying our culture. He's not he's not a walking example. He's not a true captain.
Fold your arms and say, listen, I got to believe it to see it.
Yeah, you know what? I know, it still remains to be seen. I think Eberflus, I think he does have what it takes from a being able to transform culture, so to speak. He comes from being with Chris Ballard, who's a GM for the Indianapolis Colts, who's a really good friend of me in Olin's. Chris Ballard is an amazing GM. I wish he was here in Chicago, and that's not throwing a shot at Ryan Poles. I feel like Chris Ballard should have been here to begin with. But he went next door to Indianapolis, and you see what he's done there. But Chris Ballard is an outstanding evaluator. He's an outstanding GM. He makes himself available. I text him from time to time and get tips from him, and he texts me right back, even though he's a GM. That's the type of guy that Ballard is, and I know the guys that Chris Ballard has in his organization, can do great things. So it was good to see a guy who came from that type of organization in Eberflus, because he knows what it takes to be successful.
Who is the most underrated player still under contract? Jack.
Man. All right. I'm going to throw a curveball here and say Eddie Jackson.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100.
Chicago's trading up.
100.
Yes!
What? Here it is!
It's an open competition.
Keeping it 100.
The people drop off, but we still keep rocking.
I know we need to run the ball more. I'm not an idiot.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100.
Open competition.
Keeping it 100.
The smart man.
My Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
kept it real. Dynamic duo that you love, the smartest man in Dr. Phil. Breaking down the film, never a problem, kick it straight. Most shows focus on stats, we focus on the tape. We keeping it 100, never running east or west. We coming with that truth, cause that's what our fans expect. Cut off the freaking anchor, moving forward to be free. But don't you worry, Shayne's got the dumbest tweets. It ain't no secret, Phil and Shayne got some haters. But now the mouth stuck like the Jew and now and laters. Debaters, frauds get kicked like Coach Tabor. Cuts had to be made, we added a barber moderator. Up and down, boys got you double checking. Sad sacks trolling like a fool drunk texting. Flexing on the truth cause you know they'll never change. Real, recognize real, that's what you get with Phil and Shayne. 100's what we do when we're breaking down the bears. Fuck a play or a captain, all of the upstairs. The tape never lies, the truth, you see. We laugh, we analyze, so there's no babies like Maybelline. Straight to the truth with acumen and facts. We got a sad nerd, but he's not just giving nerd stats. Car crash, big impact like Max Sack. Every Wednesday night you got the smartest man and Phil back. Now we know you're smiling like a fat kid with fun day. We're back better than ever and we're keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100, baby. Keeping it 100. Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100, baby.
Keeping it 100.
Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man.
Keeping it 100, baby.
Draft Dr.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100.
Shayne, Money Man Marsaw, and the guard.
Yo, the block audio is done. I am here. I am your moderator tonight. And of course, we got a good show for y'all. So y'all get ready. It's gonna be popping. So we're gonna go ahead and bring in Draft Dr. Phil and Shayne, the smartest man.
Oh yeah, Cherie, bringing that Rastafarian.
She got a hold of us on Sunday. She's like, I'm so sick of Claudio as the moderator. Fuck that dude. We got you, Cherie.
We got a new moderator tonight. Test driving all our producers. Claudio don't do shit. Jackal don't do shit. Will's throwing out some popcorn for you, Cherie.
Oh.
Thank you. Appreciate the love. But you
I
still
think it
will
was
get
my
blocked.
fault. Maybe the volume was up a little louder than in pre.
Her timing was way better than Claudio.
Oh
though.
yeah, she
way better.
She hit the mark. She was like, yo, right when
Yeah,
you
she
saw
got it.
It might have been like a second, but then she was on. Because I was just listening for the music.
Claudio's on that fucking Chromebook time.
Jackal don't do shit.
Hey.
Claudio don't do none either. We're gonna write a song tonight. Hey, hey. Jackal don't do shit. Claudio don't do shit. I gotta think about it. It's not just your track. This is a free track. I couldn't pressure Cool Kennedy to do more. We're working on a lot of stuff for the music side tonight. Got a big guest, right, Cherie? Mark Potash.
Yes.
Potsy.
Fun times. Are you gonna call him Potsy? I don't feel like I've earned that level of trust.
I'm gonna call him the destroyer of James Daniels.
I felt like listening back to that James Daniels conversation. It was just like James wanted to be the smartest man in the room, right?
That moniker's taken, bro.
Yes, it is. It is taken. And we're going to be taking you on a journey tonight, talking all things Chicago Bears. Obviously, you saw that at the top before the intro song. Keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies Network with Shy City Sports. Manscaped sponsoring us. Cherie's going to be back doing the read, the Manscaped read again. And we are going to do this tonight. Have a lot of fun breaking down the Chicago Bears. But you heard Jonathan Wood talk about the most underrated player on the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, to me, it just comes down to him reading one stat. Believe it or not, Eddie Jackson's missed tackle rate was the lowest of his career this year. And I mean, I would say this to Jonathan Wood. Phil, I know Jonathan Wood does not care for me, and I'm perfectly content with that. I sleep like a baby at night when my daughter's not screaming, knowing that. But that is the difference between people that crunch numbers and people that watch tape. You know, there's people out there today that were saying that Khalil Mack can't stay healthy. That's why he should be off the Bears. And if you look at his games missed history, it's actually pretty impressive for the position that he plays. You know, it's just, the sack production isn't 18 and 19. Well, that's rare. That's pretty fucking rare.
They don't do any research.
No, they don't watch tape.
Vic Fangio, they don't watch tape. I think to your point, though, and I will say this continuously. Let me move my mic closer to me. I don't have a radio voice. I don't put on any. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be my radio voice.
Thank God. We'd have to listen to that all show.
From the top of the hour, I'm your boy, Jonathan Wood, telling you another stat. We should read a stat like that every half hour. An incredible stat. Because you know what? Stats lie. You don't need Bill Belichick to tell you that, or the Tape Never Lies Network. Leading in missed tackles is, well, avoiding tackling an effort.
Guess what, bro? You're a safety.
Exactly. I'm going to avoid that contact, so PFF puts me at the top of their not missing tackles list. This is the kind of world we fucking live in. God, yeah. I've lasted how many minutes? 17 minutes into the show without swearing until now. I get so fired up with that kind of stuff because I think it's important that real football fans, real educated fans, you have a right to disagree. I 100% get it. But let's not disagree with the truth. That's when I don't get it. Like, it's right there. When someone starts talking to me about Khalil Mack and their first response is sacks and they don't get it. They are not.
You know how I feel about stats. Really, stats are for losers.
That's the exact truth. And you're not looking at anything. Can't stay healthy. He was here all that time playing hurt. And that's what I get you. There's no awards for somebody that's playing hurt. But I feel like Khalil has never blessed us with his presence coming on the show and blessing us with a conversation with the guy. But when you look at the tape of him and you know what you're looking at, that's a captain. That is somebody who might not be the voice, might be the rah-rah guy, but he's the guy that goes 100 miles an hour every single play. And the offensive coordinator on the other opponent's team, their whole priority is to scheme away from him and get him out of the way. And that's really where we're at with this guy. Don't be looking, if you're just new here, don't be looking at the PFF stuff. Don't be looking at somebody who's writing a narrative, or is what Shayne is saying. What's up, Rick? Rick Reuter, new patron, Shayne. Felt it was time. Yeah, it's been time, Rick.
What was you waiting on?
20 push-ups, Rick.
That's right.
Film it. Send it to Jackal.
Jesus,
Actually,
Rick,
Jacqueline.
don't piss Cherie off. We gave her control of the Patreon, too. She's slaying motherfuckers over there. No, listen, there's room for stats. There's room for analytics in football. That should always be a part of the process. I want to cover every area. It can't be the be-all, end-all, and that's what people like John Wood that are numbers crunchers, they sit down and they analyze data and base everything off of that. And what you come away with is a comment from John Wood himself saying, I can make a case that David Montgomery actually makes the Chicago Bears offense worse. Those are his words.
Exactly.
I would love for John to come on X's with the O's. We'll put tape on and he can explain
And with my
it to us.
dad.
Yeah. He'd be talking about memory cards and
My
fucking
father would be
algorithms,
like-
and your father would just be like, who the fuck is this guy?
He'd be like,
You must have been at the top of your fucking class.
That's
That's fine. What John does is fine.
There's a
place for
yes.
that.
It is.
But
It is
Jesus.
almost like this. I had a perfect analogy this afternoon and I forgot it for statistics. Analysis with numbers should only come secondary to what it is you see on tape. You want to see mistakes? They happen with stats. You want to see mistakes? They always happen with stats. The tape never lies. That's where the results come from. And Ryan Poles himself, he said it. He said it.
So the beautiful thing about the NFL is what you see on tape usually is a reflection of the person behind it.
Phil,
There
do you
it
want
is.
to address Marty saying that you're making excuses for Khalil Mack?
Marty, I've never made an excuse for a player. In fact, I am constantly known as the truth teller when it comes to the tape. Just ask yourself again when he was been the best player on the field. That's the fact. Raiders, and before that was the Vikings. What are you talking about? You're talking about games? I'm watching him last year lead the NFL in sacks. In week 5, he had 6.5 sacks, leading the NFL. He finally got surgery. I've shared this before. I can share it again. His former teammate reaching out to me to tell me there's 2 guys in the locker room in 2000. What was it, Shayne? 20?
Yep.
That shouldn't be on the field. And it was Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn. His teammates' words. And that motivated us to go out there with our bumps and bruises and play through it. At some point, you have to watch and understand Khalil Mack ain't doing the fucking diddy hop in the fucking end zone after a loss.
He ain't buying houses either, did he? Right? Phil?
No. Khalil Mack is consuming triple team, double teams, constant effort. And as Scott, thank you, Scott. Me and my father put up random games of Khalil Mack to prove the freakish point that there is nobody. This is a top 10 football player in the entire NFL. I have no horse in this race. If he was on the Raiders, I'd say the same goddamn thing. Just like Aaron Donald is a freak, outstanding. In fact, I always give my top 50 draft prospects. TTNL, if you're a patron, I'll give you my top 50 free agents that you have to see. I'll also give you my top 53 players on the Bears. And it's led by Khalil Mack. He's the best player on the football team. Best, number 1. If I'm looking. So there's the preview to number 1. I give you number 1. Then I go back. That's how good this guy is. And all of you guys, I'm not saying you have your own, look yourself in the mirror. And I've said this to every reporter, every guest that comes on here. I can't shut my mouth when they say it. Just like Mikey last week. He's talking like David Montgomery's just a guy. That is the worst perspective of analysis on a football player I've ever heard. It's just not true. David Montgomery's an elite runner, and I'll show you why. You can't have it both ways and say, well, Justin Fields is playing behind this terrible offense with this terrible offensive line, and then not give the same kudos to David Montgomery and what he's doing on top of his temperament. Same with Khalil Mack. My original point was all of you looking in the mirror saying bullshit about Robert Quinn, and there was one network saying, hey, don't even think about being a hater. This guy's an immense talent. He's playing hurt. Wait till he gets healthy. Wait till next year. Someone pull that audio. And what happened? He broke Richard Dent's season sack record. He is a Chicago Bear, by the way, Shane. So it's okay that he broke the record. And you should be proud of the fact that a football player on your Bears is there playing his ass off in the most dysfunctional showcase of coaching that we've seen since Mark Trestman. Maybe worse. So let's not throw guys out that don't deserve it. Your focus on sacks is constantly ridiculous. It's just stupidity on every level. Football is not just about sacks. It's not. And I think when you go that way and you start recognizing real tape, become a patron. You'll see it. Just go to me and my father breaking down Akeem Hicks this past weekend. Like, people are telling me he can't play 3 technique, and I'm showing you fucking tape of him playing a 3 technique and dominating at 3 against the Rams.
Even without the tape, just you can literally watch the TV copy, and anybody that says that Akeem Hicks can't play 3 tech, I mean, what are we doing?
This is the fucking world we live in. We live with people doing this in a fight. They're filming it instead of stepping in and breaking it up. We're letting women get beat up. We're letting fucking guys like this that are running with stats and creating some algorithm to create a stat that David Montgomery would make your offense worse. I don't know about you, but I'm a fucking coach. And when I get into a huddle and I see the likes of David Montgomery looking back at me and it's 3rd and 2 and I've called a timeout and I've put my fucking playbook down, I fucking threw it at Sam Mustafa right in the fucking face. Here's the fucking playbook. We're running fucking right up your ass. Are you ready, David? You think he's ready? That's football. It ain't in a fucking algorithm. It ain't some fucking creative stat that you just came up with. That's the fucking stupidest shit. I'm so tired of people that are in college and below in high school listening to these fucking dumbass blog boys on Twitter. Yeah, it motivates some people. I'm sure, David, it motivates them. But at the end of the day, don't you want to be smarter? Don't you want to do better? I don't know an offense that's better without David Montgomery. It might be in the Arena Football League where they throw every down. That's it. So there you go. You've created a fucking narrative. All these fucking guys. Invite them on. Jacob Infante, I want to see you on this show and talk to me in real talk on how David Montgomery's not good or Tariq Cohen makes you a better football team. I just don't get it. I don't. And if Potash comes on here, I will fucking say the same thing to him. It's so completely and utterly ridiculous on every level of football, Shane. It just infuriates me that so many people are misled by these stat boys.
Well, they buy into it, Phil, because like I said, not everybody is, well, I mean, just the crazy world that we live in. People aren't willing to invest the time in looking at the all 22. It's watching the replay on TV and thinking that that's the be all end all. And I mean, yes, we do have the worst all 22 setup in the league with the view that the Bears give you and the access that the NFL has essentially stripped from us. But it shows you so much more. I mean, Phil, you and I talked about it when I bought season tickets to Syracuse to take my son. I wanted the view from behind the line of scrimmage, so he, you get that vantage point because it's so important. Like you said, you can sit there and 90% of the people, I'd say 98% of the people watch the quarterback. The ball is snapped and their eyes are focused on the quarterback and where the ball is going. Are you looking at that, Phil? Exactly.
No. But again, like a lot of people haven't had the experience of watching a game with me.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what, and I'm not just trying to pub our Patreon here, but that's what you're going to learn on there. It's how to take your eyes off the ball. And then you learn things. Phil and Coach O will open your eyes, and Berlissimo will open your eyes to like, holy shit, I didn't even realize that this is what I should be looking at. And you can't just go to a game box score and see that Khalil Mack had 0 sacks and 4 tackles and come away with, oh, he didn't do his job today. No, he really actually dominated the fucking game. He just didn't get the sacks.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In the ultimate team sport, Marty, it's not a contest where guys take off their shirts and flex and you could decide who's the biggest and strongest in the room. This isn't muscle building. I'm not contradicting shit. Khalil Mack is on a football team. Do you know how many fucking balls had to fall the right way for the Rams to win? Imagine if Tart intercepts the ball against the Rams with the 49ers. Are the Rams in the Super Bowl? Nope. They're at home. No Aaron Donald. Jesus, when are we going to get Aaron Donald his Super Bowl? It's a team fucking sport. You got to have an offense to help you. Did the Bears have an offense to help Mac? Ask yourself that. Did they have a passing game? Did they have a coach that could understand on 4th and 1, maybe it's 32, that should run the ball? Did they have that? What is Khalil Mack supposed to do? What is he supposed to do in your book? You guys are the same ones bagging on Brian Urlacher. You saw it against Arizona. Why can't we see it every week? It doesn't work like that. The game of football is played in the trenches. Other teams understand that guy, 52, we got to stop. Again, just go back. I'm not making this shit up. Ask Berlissimo. 5 games, 6.5 sacks. Khalil Mack was dominating. He got hurt. He was playing hurt the year before. They tried to go without surgery. They couldn't do it. So come with that same kind of fucking heart after this season. Tell me about Khalil Mack, Mark. Tell me. Tell me what all these fucking beat writers, all of them, same guy. Akeem can't play 3 technique. Akeem could fucking dominate at that. He's going to be, if he's re-signed, he'll be, wow. Look at this guy dominate at 3 tech. If I had a gun to my head, Bilal Nichols or Akeem Hicks, it's not even fucking close.
No, totally
it's not even
agree.
close.
The only drawback to Akeem is he's missed 20 games over the last 3 seasons.
That's the thing you worry about.
That's the number one, right?
Did he get healthy? And I'll tell you guys this. I'm saying 19 games. I'm putting the Michael McCaskey asterisk because I know Nagy benched him on the last game of the season against the Minnesota Vikings. That's been verified. I don't fanboy. I look at the fucking tape. I told you Mike Glennon sucked. I told you Kevin White sucked. I told you Leonard Floyd was a pussy and sucked. He's only a gadget guy. Can't play this defense. Got to use twists and stunts to free him up. Then he's home. Oh my God, this dude, Marty Deck. Hit the deck with this dude. I don't know what I'm not talking out of any side of my mouth. It's straight here. There's no sides. Khalil Mack, top 10 player.
Marty's a stat scout. That's fine.
Take your stats, wipe your ass with it, flush it down the toilet, because that's all that fucking matters. It is. You're gonna come in here talking like Khalil Mack don't fucking matter. You might as well say none of them matter. Nobody matters. Nobody. Jesus. I don't think you've ever watched how dominant a football player is. Ever. Fucking benched. Can you imagine your head coach has no respect in the locker room, benches Akeem Hicks, throws him off the field. That's it. Then he doesn't play anymore. We'll see. I want to see Poles and Eberflus talking hustle, talking loafs. There's somebody that doesn't loaf. It's Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn. I don't see them loaf. I see hustle. I see intensity. And you look at this football team and how it's shaped. You have the quarterback. You have the talent, the baseline talent. He's got to decide who he's going to be. The offense, Luke Getsy, he's going to decide who he's going to be. And then you have question marks all across the board on offense, except running back. Because I like the 1-2 punch of obviously Montgomery and Herbert. Tariq Cohen, cut. Goodbye. Bye, Tariq. We'll see you.
Yeah, that was Jonathan Wood's answer. If he can play, you got to play him.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't understand that portion of it. I mean, Phil is soon. The very second he signed his extension, I called you, and you didn't even believe me when I told you. I was shocked.
I was shocked. Just breaking my balls.
Yeah,
I go, this guy. This guy hasn't run north-south in his career.
No.
East-west. He's like the Shrine Game. That's it. Trying to find this thing. Where is it?
What are you looking for?
I wanted to show. Here's a guy. Hold on. I'm looking for it. I don't know what folder I put it in.
Oh.
Son of a bitch.
Can't help you there.
I know. But I was going to show you Tariq Cohen dancing.
Oh.
Now he's dancing. This is Jonathan Wood's answer. I didn't see this. And this is other people's answer. We're going to use Tariq Cohen if he could play. When this guy's dancing, after the Bears lose their season finale, he's dancing. The only excuse I would give Tariq Cohen is he was dancing because he knew Matt Nagy was gone. And he's like, Nagy's gone. Then I get it. You're like, fuck, he's finally gone. But if he's just out there dancing in the final game, I think I got it. I think I found it. Then you got some serious problems. Serious problems. And that's the kind of, that guy, Ryan Poles would never sign on to that, Shayne.
Bear Down Cuz just went live, so he didn't take your advice.
It's performance over politics. Performance over politics.
There he is, dancing off the field. Hasn't played in 2 years. Dancing off the field after a loss. You see how he's taking others down. Jalen Johnson in the back laughing. It's a big, funny thing. You know, I'm the coach of this.
Their culture is the envy of the league, they said. Remember that part of it.
Envy that. Jesus.
Must have been at the top of your fucking class.
Yeah, exactly.
They let me do what I had to do.
That's what's going on, Angela. They let them do whatever they wanted to do. Whatever you want to do, you can do. That ain't how you take over the North.
To take over the North and never give it back.
Exactly. That ain't how you do it. You don't do it with that kind of culture. You know what I've always been pissed off sometimes when I see, at the end of the game, and I get it, players taking a knee, laughing, joking. Meanwhile, fucking Max Power and Barrelissimo and Early Deloach are sitting there on their Sunday, fucking living and dying in their, wings or popcorn, whatever the fuck they're eating or drinking, and you're pissed off. You just lost to the fucking Seattle Seahawks or the fucking Minnesota Vikings, and you're sitting there seeing players laughing and joking. That's not the culture I get down with. And I know. I think there's been some serious sage advice from Olin Kreutz and Jay Mack last week when it comes to the Chicago Bears and coaching in general. It's like not everybody's going to buy in. It's up to that head coach to create a culture that truly is what Ted Phillips has never been, a man of integrity, that you guys go out there and play the game of football for the city, for your teammates, for your families, and most importantly, for the Chicago Bears. If you can't get that level of understanding, then you shouldn't be in my locker room. If you don't love this game of football, if you don't look in the mirror and say, I cannot wait till Sunday. I'm going to give my all every play. That's what this is about. At some point, players lose interest. Eddie Jackson, his most underrated player, is the most overrated player. Eddie has something to prove. Is Eddie going to fall in line with the loafs? Is Eddie going to fall in line with the hits? That's up to Eddie. There's no questioning the guy's talent. But you can't be on television. You can't be around young players. You can't be around a culture talking about tackling doesn't matter. Anybody can tackle. And then you go out there and not tackle. That is the biggest complete showcase of stupidity. I mean, I called this out from the beginning. I called this Matt Nagy, Jeremy, out from the beginning. When you're allowing zone and you're running zone and Jordan Howard is a perfect zone back and you're blocking with your shoulders turned continuously. So week 1, we see blocking with our shoulder. And then week 2, we see it. And then week 3, and they still aren't getting it. Then that's a coaching issue, a culture and a coaching issue. You're not coaching zone right. Jordan Howard's just running through people. There was never an emphasis on finding your identity because you didn't have one. You didn't know how important. You don't go to the fucking Italian restaurant just for the apps. That's not, that was Matt Nagy's standard. We're just going to give you appetizers. Just throw out a bunch of plays. Let's see what works here. That's not how you do it. And Tariq Cohen, he is in the crossfires. Tariq Cohen is in the crossfires. He's catching a lot of bullets tonight because he deserves all the bullets. He literally said what? Shayne, with his commentary. He said he was thinking about retiring.
Right.
He doesn't know when he'll be ready to play.
Yeah, he didn't come out openly and say that, but I mean, he said he is not going to come back until he feels exactly how he felt pre-injury. And I mean, that's just obviously the guy had a second procedure done. The Bears are too secretive and never came out and admitted that. But I mean, you could see Matt Nagy when he was addressing it, when the media brought it up, the way that he was skirting around it, it was very, very obvious that Tariq Cohen either had a major setback and had to have a second surgery, or they had to clear up some scar tissue, or something along that. But I mean, you're talking about a guy that's going to be almost 2 years removed. He got hurt in the game that they benched Mitch. So that was week 3 of 2020, correct? In Atlanta. I believe that's when Tariq tore his ACL, and he hasn't played since. And
listen, I have nothing but sympathy for somebody.
His big money kicked in. His twin brother lost his life. So I mean, he had life-altering changes to his life. And these guys, if they came from a poverty situation, never saw life-changing money like that. Sometimes that is what you can't tell about people. That's what makes the draft so interesting. That's why you can analyze a guy. You can watch all the tape. Hey, we say the tape never lies. It doesn't lie, but it doesn't tell you who the man is away from the field. How is this kid going to react when he goes from making $560,000 to making $6.5 million? That's a big difference when these guys are 24, 25 years old. How are they still willing to get up at 4 a.m. and go and grind it out in the gym, and then go to practice, go to Hallis Hall all day, and then go home and grind some more, and then grind through the tape? Are they willing to be committed that way when they have that money in the bank? That is the measure of a real professional. When they say that on the field and off the field matters, that's exactly what they're talking about.
She ain't got no money in the bank. She be walking around here all stank. Everybody looking at Reek. He don't want to play. He ain't no freak. Anyway, Tariq Cohen, to me, wasn't good. He was a gadget, a situational third down use, maybe punt returner, kick returner, slot guy that you could use. He wasn't what Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace tried to make him by paying him and how they used him. A Bill Belichick would have used him correctly, and he would have been paid accordingly, or he would be shipped out. Because if you don't run north-south, and if you're always trying to go and make a big play and not know the situation. So I'm not Tariq. I don't know Tariq. I'm just looking at the tape. And to me, what Tariq was prior to his injury didn't move the fucking meter for me.
It didn't warrant an extension.
God, when you called me and told me, I didn't believe you. And I'm like, I see David Montgomery's knee buckle the wrong way against the Packers. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, you and I texted. We're like, yeah, that's over.
He's back in the game 3 plays later, 2 plays later. And before you defend Tariq, before you worry about his knee, I've been around football my whole life. I'm going to play this again for you. If you're dancing like this, you could fucking play football. Yeah.
They might not have wanted him out there, dude. Like you said, he looks like fucking the kid from Different Strokes.
He does. I saw someone in the comment saying Gary Coleman was playing. Listen, it's up to you. You got to have it in here if you really want to play the game of football. They made a mistake with Tariq Cohen in their analysis. I wouldn't say that he was a bad draft pick from a small school. He had a place, but that place wasn't used appropriately, and it goes under the same recognition of Matt Nagy.
That's the problem when you have an offense that is so, mundane. People grab onto guys that show some explosive traits, and they overrate them completely. And again, I'm not trying to bag Darnell Mooney here because he's a fantastic wide receiver, but in my book, he's not a number one wideout, and that is not a knock against him. Much the same with Tariq. They see the speed, they see some flashy punt returns. The one against San Francisco, it was no. Oh, go. And he scores it. He had that long play against the Jets I think it was, where he was untouched for like 72 yards. People get excited about that, and they overrate the kid. How they ever fucking warranted giving him, was it $6.4 million? I think he got in the first year of his extension. It's just, I mean,
Listen.
as a Phil, he's a gadget player, but he's gadget light. There was a point when people were trying to say, "Oh, he's the Tyreek Hill in Chicago," and it's not even fucking. Tyreek Hill makes this kid look like he's running in fucking reverse.
Who? Tariq Cohen?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's not even remotely close. Not on
before
the same...
anybody. I saw PJ. If you're defending Tariq Cohen, where were you with Jay Cutler? Because if Jay Cutler was injured with a knee and he's out here laughing it up after a loss and dancing, come on. Keep it 100. That is a fuck. Just like Mike Haw said, that is terrible optics. It's the showcase of a shitty culture. And if Tariq was on this show, I would pull up his quote in that article and ask him, do you think you want to play this game anymore? Let him tell me. Do you want to play this game? You got paid.
Well, just
psychologically, he might be afraid to put his body.
Remove the fucking injury from it, Phil. The most important part that you just said was the optics of that. You have a guy that's under a contract extension and injured. It's the fucking last game of the year. They win fucking 6 games. They're walking off the fucking field, and this guy's dancing. Jalen Johnson, who you want to believe is a cornerstone of this defense, is a building block.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking that, like you said, the optics of that, I have a big fucking problem with.
I'm with you. Whenever that was sent to me, I immediately went to Cool Kennedy's beat and put this together because it ain't performance over politics. It's politics right there. That was hands down the worst showcase of you as a professional, of what you care about the city. You care about nobody but yourself. Nobody but yourself. And I don't care what injury you have or how your ligaments are. My son does that dance. I don't care. It's up to you now to decide if you want to be a Chicago Bear or not. How they handle that, that's up to them with him. But for me, like a bunch of you are saying, I was a huge, huge Grant fan prior to him being traded here.
Yeah.
Once we got him, I'm like, oh my God, they got to use this guy on offense, Shayne.
I think they 100% plan. I think he is going to be a guy they 100% bring back.
I hope. And he's got the great disposition about he gets it. He's not jokes because he's arrogant or thinks he's better. He's jokes because they're authentic. There's I was thinking about this show and what we do here. We have no script. I don't have any questions written out for Potsy tonight. Mark Potash, who's coming up in a few minutes. I don't have any questions written out. I don't have anything. I just marvel at the fans of this network, this show, that show up 2 hours before the show, ready to go for tonight, and the responsibility we have to carry a conversation that I wasn't planning on talking about any of this shit tonight. And then I get fired up with this misleading shit storm of Twitter blog boys and talk about Khalil Mack, Akeem, Hicks. It's like, come on, guys. Hate on the fucking guys that need to be hated on. And I bet you Twitter troll blog boys are all up in Tariq Cohen's fucking grill, thinking he's going to be as diamond as his fucking probably gold front that he just bought. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I fight for the truth. I fight. Everybody makes mistakes. I get it. In fact, there's people over here that are saying to me, if it wasn't for your network, I would be that dumbass dude at the bar. Thank you. Like, I have more respect for you than someone like that takes what we said, repeats it, and doesn't give, hey, I heard that from Shayne or Phil. Like, yo, Shayne was right when he said it takes a lot in this day and age. I got to be first. I got to be first to say, I got to be right. It's like you forced us into a corner to say, yeah, I'm taking ownership of the work, the time, energy, and effort that we put into it, because it ain't, easy to go on here, stand in front of the music, put your name to it, and then be right and not have people say, you know what, TTNL was the ones that were right. TTNL said this shit about Nagy 4 fucking years ago. TTNL said this about Eddie Jackson and everything we've said on tape, because it's like a movie. Mark, where's Mark? It's like a movie. If the movie sucks, there's always that one fucking dude that loves it. And we all look at him like, what the fuck did you love about that movie? And they have their reasoning. But with football, the tape shows me there's only one reason. Are they doing it? Are they right? Are they giving maximum effort? Are they loafing? Do they tackle? Do they play with technique? Do they play with pride? So think about that when you look at a stat that says, or some algorithm, and I'm sorry, I know Jonathan Wood. He is putting his name to that, just like he has every right to go on a show and talk about my take.
Right. Well, that's the thing, Phil, and we're going to get painted because we're calling out what he put out there publicly.
Right.
But we're not just doing that. Jonathan has been invited on this show, but he wouldn't respond because he doesn't like me. He's worked directly with you. And I'm not going to come on here and just be an ass. I mean, we had fucking Peter Bukowski on here, for Christ's sake.
Exactly.
We're not going to come on here and be unprofessional. We're going to check you where we think you need to be checked. And if you can't handle that part of it, then your theory, your synopsis fucking sucks. If you're worried about that, you should have conviction with what you believe in. That's why when I look at, well, I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball here. Eddie Jackson. No, you're saying that because you're worried about the chaos that it's going to create, because you don't even fucking believe it yourself. You're going off of a fucking stat, just like your bullshit that you're pulling with David Montgomery. It's the same shit. I don't give two fucks, Phil. We do Draft Mob on the patron side. I could give two shits if I loved the fucking player and I brought it to you and Berlissimo and you guys fucking hated him. It doesn't bother me. How many times have you and I went head to head on a fucking guy?
Dude,
or if George
I
liked
stood
somebody
out
and you
there
and I did exactly.
Josh Allen getting abused by
That
Twitter people.
I remember you and Greg Gabriel going back and forth. Yeah,
exactly. Killing me. I don't see what. Nope, you're wrong. He's not going to make. Listen, I stand by my truth. I put my name to it. You have these trolls. They have every right. Yes, I've addressed my bullshit on Twitter a long time ago and stepped away for life because I just don't want to be a part of that. It was an addiction. I've said that many times, but it doesn't take away my analysis and the tape that I break down and put my name to. I totally whiffed on Johnny Manziel.
I tried telling him everybody, but he just
I thought he would mature. He just didn't, that's a part of the process though. Like I tell Berlissimo, we're going to have a Draft Mob interview with a football player. That's for sure. So we'll sit down and then you come away knowing, is this guy someone I'm going to want to draft? That's what we as analysts on this network don't have. We have the tape. We can watch a highlight of somebody interviewing somebody, but when they're in the hornet's nest here, we don't have that. So where Ryan Pace messed up. What kind of integrity, what heart, what love of football did Adam Shaheen have? That's where Ryan Pace didn't get him right. Mike Glennon, has he ever loved the game of football? Or does his dad really rich and he's really tall and has a really good arm? And this happens in this league. They're afraid to fucking call it out. Mike Glennon got $18 million from the Ted Phillips, George, and Ryan Pace. Put that in your freaking back pocket and think of $18 million. I'm telling you right now, speaking of $18 million, I'm excited right now because you guys are all excited here about this guy. And the way we do it here is a special way of introducing every guest that we have. But for this guest, I know Shayne and I truly love this guy because as fans of the Chicago Bears, we've been abused. We've been talked down to, spit on, if you will. Ted Phillips up in that better office than George looking down, say, you're going to buy my shit no matter what. And the only guy that we see, and we know a bunch of them, and we tell everybody this when they come on the show. You know what? Mark Potash.
Yeah, that seems like we always got that. That seems more of like a Potsy question.
Yeah, we get that. Why can't you ask about that? Why can't you ask about, did he figure out the whys yet? Why can't you ask that? Maybe Mark Potash can. Anyway, let's introduce this guy and ask him some tough questions. Maybe he'll give us some tough questions. I know he could tackle a question better than Eddie Jackson can, John Wood. He's Mark Potash.
Bears fans, over the years, we've listened to every Bears press conference.
She's been very supportive. She's pissed off.
Not all the decisions may be the right ones.
I'm just a fan. I'm not a football evaluator.
No matter the event, 95% of the time, our anger only worsens as they try to force feed us with a shovel. One constant in all of those pressers is one guy that's not afraid to ask the tough questions. We don't need collaboration to tell us that.
But when you can collaborate,
TTNL fans, get up out your seats and give it up to this native Southside Chicagoan, the Chicago Sun-Times sports writer, Mark Potash.
There he is.
I've never had an introduction like that. I'll say that.
There you go.
Well, you deserve it.
I appreciate it.
You deserve it from the South Side. And you got the TV that Shayne is obsessed with behind you. There
The
it
old
is.
school TV. Yeah, I totally respect
Is that the automatic put a VHS in the bottom of it?
That's how we used to watch film in the old days.
You ain't
In
kidding.
the Wanstead era.
Yeah.
The Wani era. What was the Bob Christian? Why did Dave Wanstead get rid of Bob Christian? I'm still trying to figure that out.
I don't think we need. We've got enough to worry about with just the previous regime. Let's not go too far back, guys.
Well, let's start off there. You covered this, and I don't blow smoke on this network. Our fans are here and strong. They know you, and after every game, we do a show called Bears Hour Live, and we wait for you to ask the questions because it's like you actually hold them accountable, and them being whoever's up at the stage after what we called I think it was the most neglectful coaching showcase and culture since Mark Trestman. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. It's hard to compare it to that because that was so overtly dysfunctional. I mean, that was on another level, frankly. But that said, as coaching failures go, Matt Nagy's inability to run an offense was as egregious a coaching failure as I've ever seen. And I like Matt. I mean, I wanted to like him. I wanted to see him succeed. I was not against him, but I've never seen anything so clearly so many red flags. The running game, receivers who couldn't get open, quarterbacks who failed, no matter how much experience they had. Guys who came into this offense were only good when they were in an impromptu manner. It's like the more they learned the offense, the more they became immersed in the offense. Look at all the guys who came in; they got worse. I mean, I've never seen an example of an offense that failed so completely as this one. So yeah, no doubt, the worst coaching situation, obviously, since Trestman's, not that long ago, but Trestman's was that whole thing was so dysfunctional that even this death march that we just went through in the last 3 months of the season wasn't quite like that.
Mark, when you look back, I mean, we're a network here that we're all based on tape. That's what we do. And Phil, to his credit, around Game 7 in 2018, started to really, really question Matt Nagy as a viable offensive play caller. He's like, there's some really big issues. And I mean, it even just statistically, if you go back, you can see where the offense really, really started to struggle, even in the great season of 2018. But just from that point, how was Matt Nagy, like you said, seems to be a great guy. Maybe he's a guy that you want as your next door neighbor, but as a play caller, and we said in your open that they tried to force feed the fans with a shovel with, our culture is the envy of the league. But I mean, obviously the culture was a big time issue because it's been a culture of losing for decades as Bears fans. But just how shocked were you to see just the complete regression from midway 2018 with that offense to where they finally had to pull the plug this year?
It was shocking in one respect that we kind of got fooled in 2018. You had that great defense. A lot of things got covered up in 2018. Yes. And even as we reported it, we weren't really saying that, hey, this offense sucks. I mean, because there was actually a hard sell, believe it or not, when they were still scoring points. And a lot of times they were scoring points literally from their defense or because of their defense, but they were scoring points. They were gaining yards. And this was all new. If that was the beginning of something big, then everything was fine. That's why when you look back and look at the articles, you see we really weren't on to how bad the offense was in 2018, or how bad it was going to be, because at that point it just looked like that was just the beginning. Even Trubisky, if that was just the start, not a bad year in 2018, a Pro Bowler as an alternate, but it went downhill from there. And there are just red flags. One of the first red flags, I think my timing is correct on this, was in back-to-back weeks, they ran the ball 7 times against one team and 38 times against another team and lost both games. Yeah. That's a huge. Even then I said something's wrong here with this coaching staff, because and if you remember, Beck, and I'm sure you guys do, is the only reason they could run the ball was with the I formation, which was something that is like totally contrary to his whole mode. He was doing something that was totally against what he believed in order to run the ball. And if you look back at what are the big red flags of the Nagy era, one of them is just the total discombobulation of the run, the inability to use the run game even when it was effective to his advantage.
Oh yeah, he would.
So I guess my point is that's the point where I began to I can't remember, that was San Diego and New Orleans, I believe, back to back. I think 2019. That's the point where I started thinking, hey, this is not working out.
You look at it, let's talk about David Montgomery. Here's the guy, to your point, you're year 4. Here's the guy, 16-yard burst off left tackle, we'll say, and he's out the next play. He's getting taken out. There was no emphasis on finding a run game to find your identity. It just seemed like it was sheer ignorance or ego. Which one was it?
That, believe it or not, is a tough question. I think ego I would probably go with that, because I think Matt Nagy came here thinking that he was gonna be Andy Reid, and he was gonna run Andy Reid's offense, or what he thought was his version of Andy Reid's offense, and that was gonna work no matter who his quarterback was, no matter who his weapons were, no matter who his offensive line was, and it just didn't work. So yeah, I just think Matt had a much higher feeling about his own ability than he actually had. And you hear now at the end, towards the end, he talked about lessons learned. I think it was Wani who said, this is not the end of the road. This is the bend in the road for me. Nagy said something almost exactly. This will not define me. I can't remember exactly what the word. He said the same. But the point is, I think I don't know if he'll ever get another chance, to tell you the truth. I mean, a lot of times these guys do get recycled, but he has so little. His resume is so bad now that he can't even get a coordinator's job. He'll be a QB coach, have to work his way back up. But my point is, I think he better learn lessons. But this was the lesson he learned was at our expense, I guess, 4-year expense. But that was, to me, that's what happened. Is he felt like he was going to make this thing work. His way was going to work, and it's the exact opposite of what people were saying even last year. You remember the big thing was, why don't you run an offense that Justin Fields is tailored to Justin Fields and his strengths? And he wouldn't even do that with Trubisky, to tell you the truth, with rolling him out, moving the pocket, doing the things that Trubisky does best. And he wouldn't even do that. So but that was a common theme, and that's so I would say, I think it was just Matt's ego thinking that he was going to do just run the Andy Reid offense, and it just did not work.
Let me just double on a question, Shayne. I'm not going to take 41 tonight. But since you brought up Trubisky, now stepping back, and this isn't to start controversy, this is honest question, is Mitch Trubisky kind of looked at differently now that the curtain to the Wizard of Matt Nagy Oz is shown, and maybe he was a detriment to Mitch Trubisky's growth?
Oh, I don't think there's any question that the narrative is changing, as we've seen almost from the point of remember the preseason game when he looked really good, and that was
throwing slants, Mark.
That was not a good game, a good event for Matt Nagy, because that was the first sign since Trubisky had left that hey, in a real offense, even though it was exhibition game, this guy looks pretty good. And now the narrative's like, okay, now he's been a year with Buffalo. He's been with a real offense. And let me say this: Trubisky was, to me, a failure in Chicago, but I don't think he's a guy you cannot win the Super Bowl with. I think you can. I think it's much like Grossman. He's got to be in a bubble. He's got to have the wind at his back. He's got to have a lot of weapons. He's got to have a good running game. He's got to be well coached. He can. He's good enough to win a Super Bowl for you. He's good. The problem with him was he was not. They said he was like they thought he was instinctive, and he was not. At least not in Chicago. Now, if you've seen the comments he's made postseason after Buffalo, he's basically saying Matt Nagy didn't allow me to be instinctive. He made me too robotic, because we said Mitch Trubisky was robotic at the podium, on the field. At the end, he was a robot. And now, like you're saying, the narrative is, hey, maybe that's because that's the way Matt Nagy molded him. Maybe there's hope for this guy after all. And I would say I agree. We'll find out if Brian Dable signs him with the Giants. Then we'll know what because
the Steelers are apparently interested in.
But at least Brian Dable knows who he is. And the one thing was it Nagy or was it Trubisky? Well, we didn't really get a definitive answer, because if the league thought that Matt Nagy had screwed this kid up, somebody would have given him a chance to at least fight for a job in training camp last year, and nobody did. And so that's the league saying. And maybe they're slow to come to the realization. That's the league saying it's not all Matt Nagy. We just don't think you're a very good quarterback. Now that is changing. How will it turn out? I don't know. All I'm saying is I believed all along that Trubisky is good enough with the right situation. He can't lift a team on his shoulders like Aaron Rodgers can and Patrick Mahomes, but he, with the right weapons, with everything, he can win a Super Bowl. And I'm interested to see, because he's a good guy too. But I guess the point of your the question originally is this going to make Matt Nagy look worse? I'd say, yeah. I think Matt Nagy's going to end up being the bad guy, because I'll tell you the truth. I think even Pace will end up looking better. The last when he was hired, there were 3 starters from Phil Emery's regime on the next Bears playoff team. I think there will be more than that I think there will be more Pace players on the Bears' next playoff team, whether it's next year, 2 years, 3 years. I just think he's got more to work with, and I think it was more coaching. And I could be wrong because that is a debate. Some people, fight me on that, but I think it's going to end up being that Nagy. I don't think Trubisky was a great pick. I don't think Nagy was a very good coach. Obviously, Pace did not get the job done as a GM. But if I had to put it in order, at least, or priority, I would say Pace will end up looking better than Nagy 5 years from today.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And I don't want to go too far down the Mitch Trubisky vortex here, but the one thing that always stuck out with me with Mitch and Mark, you said it with him being so robotic, and maybe that was, something from the coach. But I always think back to that New Orleans playoff game on that 4th down when Mitch, he didn't fight for that last yard to push it for the first down. He just went out of bounds. And that to me at the time told me everything about everything between the ears with Mitch. I'm like, you're in the fucking playoffs.
Right.
It's 4th down. And there was zero fight. The kid walked out of bounds. And maybe he was just smarter than everybody else. And that was his final FU to Matt Nagy. But that was the death knell for me with Mitch. But going on to this new regime with Eberflus and Ryan Poles, were you going into it? I'm sure you probably had your thoughts about what direction it might go. Were you a little surprised that it came back to Eberflus as the head coach?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That to me, that was a surprise. The whole process was an interesting process in that it looked like they were doing a better job than the previous search, because for one thing, Bill Polian is just a more accomplished guy than Ernie Accorsi. So they were ahead of the game right from there. And then they were casting a much wider net on both searches. But they were going a little too heavy with the coaching search because I don't know. I think a team like the Bears, some teams can get away with doing the whole, coach where the coach has maybe as much or more authority than the GM. The Bears just aren't good enough at football and good enough at managing people to be able to do it that way. They need a president of football operations who hires the GM, a GM who hires the coach, and then it has to be very standard. And they were looking too much for the coach first. That was kind of that was a red flag in my mind. But a few things bothered me about the search. For one thing, it was almost exclusively on Zoom, which I think is a problem when you're trying to hire people. If you've ever been in any kind of management situation where you're hiring people, there's a much bigger difference between doing something on like we're doing now and meeting you face to face and seeing your body language and shaking your hand and looking you in the eye. And even George Payton mentioned that. And I covered or monitored the Broncos press conference when they introduced Hackett, and he made a point of they went all over the place. They flew out to all their people to get one-on-one interviews instead of doing the whole Zoom thing. And we don't know how that will work out. But all I'm saying is, as a process, that seems like a smart way to do it. And at least he had an appreciation for how they did it. I thought the Bears only talked to one GM candidate in person. They canceled the two other in-person interviews because they thought they found their guys. And I'm got a feeling I'm preaching to the choir here. This is not an organization that has great intuition about people to begin with.
Right.
So that was a red flag to me that they hired that even after casting this wider net, they ended up boom. Soon all of a sudden they know what they're looking for. Well, history shows they don't know what they're looking for. And so that bothered me. And then the point, I guess it was a point of contention in the press conference was the process from GM to coach. And the idea that a 37-year-old GM who's worked his whole career to become a GM, all of a sudden in one day knows when he finds his guy. I mean, that could happen. I mean, that could be that Eberflus is the guy. He could be the next Bill Belichick for all we know. I don't know. I'm just saying is based on previous experience, I don't trust him. I don't trust that the Bears hired the guy who knows in one day that he's found his guy. And it just so happens to be a guy who was on their original list who they hired. So I guess to answer your question is the road to Eberflus kind of was concerning to me, I guess, and that's only based on previous experience. So we'll see what happens. It could turn out to be great, but it's again based on previous experiences. You guys know this would be odd. That it's just not their style to do it this way.
Well, we can't dismiss there was the Trace Armstrong talk back around Thanksgiving time, and I mean that's the agent of both guys. So I mean that to me, if we're keeping it 100 here after the name of the show, you can't that portion of it can't be dismissed. Would you agree with that, Mark?
Absolutely. And when you talk about, like I was mentioning about how, like, when you're in person reading the room kind of thing, versus something on Zoom, which that thing could have been on Zoom a year ago or 6 months ago, or whatever. But if you were in there, the awkwardness that they handled that question, both Eberflus and Poles, was to me an eye opener. I mean, that's something that I put in the back of my head and say, I'm going to remember this a year from now or 2 years. How awkward those responses were. These are two guys who they pretty much, it wasn't the most awesome press conference in the world, and it didn't have to be. But still, they're pretty good at. They know what's coming. They should, and I'm sure they knew that was coming. And there was just I can't explain it or define it. I'm struggling here, but all I'm saying is there was an awkwardness with the way they answered that question that kind of that people. It didn't soothe people's feelings. If people were worried about, hey, was this a done deal or was this a special kind of deal? It didn't help that situation. People are, like you said, people are still going to be wondering if that was a deal if these guys don't work out. It's like
getting the new iPhone. It's like Ryan and Matt were replaced by Ryan and Matt 13.0. That's where we
and you know something else, as they prove with Jerry Angelo and Lovie Smith, you can still get it right.
Yes.
So they can get it right. Like I always say, the Glazers are much less rooted in football than the Hallis and the McCaskies. I mean, and they've won 2 Super Bowls since the Bears have. You can still win. So this has become very polar. This whole Bears thing in this last year or so, because every time when it seems like the blowback of the kind of the Kool-Aid drinking Bear fans is much more vociferous, I think, than we've seen before. And even all these debates, is it Nagy or Pace, or is it Nagy or Trubisky? You're seeing battle lines drawn, and it's this is much different than even 5-10 years ago of the way this is being discussed. It's all very polar, just like the political environment, and everybody has their sides, and you get a lot of blowback, especially now with social media on Twitter. I'm on Twitter saying this, and the people in this.
You missed my rant to open the show. I lost my mind on these. I call them blog boys, and you're not one of them. And it leads me into that question. I don't have any time because I know when you look at the tape and when you look at these people, what they're going to do. To your point, I don't know how George McCaskey can be the son or grandson of George Hallis and not know football. I think that is the biggest story in all of sports almost, because how could that be? It's like, imagine your grandfather was the guy that said, hey, for $100, I'm going to start this Chicago Bear, Decatur Staley's first to be for the blog boy that's going to correct me in the chat later. But now they become the Chicago Bears, believes in that. And then George, growing up around this, whatever, he's the ticket guy, whatever, just knowing people, meeting these coaches, meeting players, being around the game of football. My father was a head coach here in Connecticut. My uncle was Sam Rutigliano, the head coach of the Browns. I was around football and players and agents and people. I know the game of football, so I know what I'm looking at. I just don't know how George stands on. I'm just a fan. I'm not a football analyst.
Well, Phil, we could spend an hour or more talking about how the lineage and how much of it. Seriously, how much of it, because it's actually an important point.
Yeah.
Because when the Ed McCaskey generation kind of took over, that's where things went awry, because he was just not a football guy. He had no interest in it, and his family is the same. But they don't have any intuition about football. And we could talk for hours. When Muggs Hallis died in 1979, that set everything that threw everything off kilter, and even help create a a divide with Jim Finks, and that led to him leaving the organization years later. But at least he had time to build a Super Bowl team. Bears fans
Without
are thankful
Finks,
for that.
there'd be none.
But anyway, it was the introduction of the McCaskies. No offense to them, they're great. I always say they're a great Chicago family. They don't know football and they don't know how to manage people, and that's where it went awry. And if you look at the other families, the families of the NFL, the Steelers are the exact opposite, where the second generation was actually better than the first. It would be as if Muggs Hallis was better than George Hallis.
Right.
They were better. They were better. The Rooney, Dan Rooney, was better. And in the previous generation, they gave the Bears Sid Luckman. They gave the Bears Dick Butkus. In that next generation, they're drafting Terry Bradshaw and all the Hall of Famers in that '74 class. But the point is that the Steelers, the Rooneys, went the exact opposite direction, where the second generation was actually better at football than the first. The Bears went the opposite. The Giants with the Maras were kind of more like the Bears, and their second generation was also going awry until they hired George Young in, I think, late '70s, just like the Bears hired Jim Finks. They went outside the family, but they're more like the Bears, where it hasn't held. And that's why the Steelers are the Steelers, and the Bears and Giants are the Bears and Giants, and all in very well defined. Where they are today says a lot about the families involved and their football acumen.
Why so much emphasis with? I know you've pounded this question, but this is keeping it 100. So I want your truth to this. Why so much belief in Ted Phillips and the arrogance and the manner with which, why not hire a president of football operations to handle that side of things and the pushback that you get? Why do you think that is?
Well, it's hard to explain, because the only thing I can explain is that they just think differently, and they see things in people that we don't, and they see someone in Ted who he was good at his previous job as controller and as negotiator, and he did what they wanted him to do, and now he's like a favorite son, and they think also that he should be able to in charge of the football operation. And if you look at the record, I think it's 3 playoff victories in 22, 23 years. If you put that resume in front of anybody for any job and they had any authority over, your football team, would you hire that guy?
No. The weatherman would get fired
George
for
McCaskey.
That. Right.
So I guess what I'm saying is they just think differently, and they see that's the thing, is they don't know what they don't know, and I do blame them for it, but in all respect, I don't, because it's a family heirloom, and that's a tough thing to give up. And they want to uphold the reputation of George Hallis and what he built. And frankly, they're kind of destroying it, but they don't think that, but I get why they want to. This is not just it is something they inherited, but it means something to them. And I don't blame them but someone wiser, in my opinion, need to step in and just own the team. It's like the old story that Jim Finks told Ed McCaskey: owners own, just own. Whatever, do whatever you do, but just stay out of football. And they just haven't heeded that. But I guess, and I'm sorry to go long on this, but if you look at the record, just look at the record. I mean, I like everybody I'm talking about here, but if you look at the record, no playoff wins in 11 seasons for under George, and 3 playoff wins in 22 seasons, or 23 for Ted, and I think 4 playoff wins since the McCaskies. Well, I consider the McCaskey era starting when Ditka was fired, because he was the last guy who was hired by a Hallis. Okay, that's where the Hallis era ended, and the McCaskey, even though the McCaskies were in charge from '83 when George Hallis died until '92, really in '93 when Ditka was gone, that's where it started. And even and under McCaskey control, again, I think it's 4 playoff wins, and that's not success. I mean, that's just that's a shame, because I always say, Bears fans, to me, and that's one reason why I do what I do. I think it's because I just feel like Bears fans invest not only time and money, but emotion in this team. And I
You're
think
the only one
that has
gets
to
it.
be respected, and I don't think it is respected. And that's the problem. You invest, you can't, if let's put it this way: if you like a cereal, like if you like Sugar Smacks, okay, and all of a sudden
You're not going to bring up Eddie Jackson cereal, are you?
All of a sudden they water it down. Well, then you go out and you buy Super Sugar Crisp or sugar, whatever, some other sugar cereal. If the Bears water down their product, do you go to the Packers? Do you go to the Lions? No, this is your life. And so I'm trying. I don't mean to make too much of it because it's just football, but it's emotion, and that's why it's so important, because people invest not just, like I said, not just time, not just money, but emotion. This means something to them, and I know what that's like. Believe me, I've been at the bus stop in high school crying after the Bulls lose a playoff game to the Warriors and things like that. I feel that emotion myself, and so I have an appreciation for that, and that's why I think I've been maybe a little hard on the McCaskies, because I feel like they have they're cheating Bears fans, and they're taking advantage of the addictive nature of football and they're just the addictive nature of Bears football.
Mark Potash is giving me goosebumps, honestly, because you get it, Mark, because the game of football is as big as it is for a reason. It's not because 50 and Eminem and Mary J are performing at halftime. It is because of the game itself that brings everybody together. And to your point, and one with which this network is built on. That's why it's called Keepin It 100. And if you're just tuning in, we have Mark Potash from the Chicago Sun-Times, TTNL's favorite beat reporter. I know a bunch of them. They're going to be upset, but you are, and I got to shout out my guy Bullets, one of our biggest fans, Miguel Bullets, for reaching out to you, because I've been saying it on this show. We got to get Potash on this show. He's the only one that understands. I'm only interrupting because you're giving me goosebumps, because I am that dude crying emotionally. I am the guy that some other guy that doesn't understand that. Why do you give a shit? Because I love it. Because they've got me since I was a little kid. The blue, orange, and white, everything I wear, almost my whole wardrobe is Chicago Bears, and it matters to me. So if there is no person like Mark Potash standing at the front line of the war, it seems, for us fans, asking these tough questions, then we're never, ever going to see hope. And we have to have that as Bears fans. And you're the type of person that brings out those questions. And I wanted to say that to you, to your face. I hope to meet you when I come up to Chicago to shake your hand. So it's not over a Zoom call, but with true emotion and passion and pride. I say that. Thank you so much for being that voice for all of us, because they aren't giving Shayne and Phil the right to ask these questions, because I would lambaste them with football related questions like you do. And let me ask you this from my little rant.
Phil, let me interrupt you 1 second, real quick. I just want to say something, because I totally appreciate it. I think I'm glad to hear you say that. But let me say this: I think I get a little too much credit for some of that, for playing that role, because I think the beat in general, especially relative to other beats in Chicago, I think has been really good about holding the Bears accountable. And maybe I ask a lot of the questions the same way, the same questions that other people have asked. But I think because I don't have no finesse, that mine come across a lot more harsh and a lot more pointed. And the way things have gone for the Bears, frankly, I think that's kind of tapped into that anger that you feel and people feel. And so I feel like I get too much credit. I appreciate it, but I feel like I get too much credit, because I think a lot of people have been asking these questions and pointed questions, and some people have a little better way of doing it, and I don't. But now my way has kind of come in vogue. It's because people are angry, and like I said, it's tapped into that anger. So I think that's. But I just want to give credit to a lot of other people on the Bears beat, because I think collectively, I think we've done a real good job, especially in this era of COVID, where everyone's getting the same stuff. I think even though we're all competitors, we've done a good job of collectively making sure as many questions have been asked or could be asked, because it's been a very difficult time to do that in this Zoom era. But anyway, thank you very much for that.
No,
I'm
thing about it is, Mark, I don't want to say that I'm
I didn't even
just
get my
total
question
credit to you. But we've had other beat reporters on here, and they've singled you out for the reason that we're giving you praise. One of the biggest things that we've always asked people here when Matt Nagy was the head coach, I said he's always talking about the whys. Dion Miller, I think, was one of the last ones we asked. I said, you have a press conference tomorrow. Could you go up and just say, well, Matt, this is year 4. Have you found the whys yet? I said, is that completely unprofessional? And she started laughing and she goes, that sounds like a Mark Potash question. We had Zach Pearson on. He said the same. That sounds like a Potsy question. And everybody was going. And that's, we broadcast all of the press conferences here live, and Phil and I literally, like we're watching tape, will break it down and we're talking.
We're yelling
when you come on, everybody goes silent because we're like, oh, here we go. we're just waiting. So
come on, Potsy, ask them about.
It isn't just us; it's your fellow colleagues that are.
And I want to push back on you, Mark, because you're speaking from the little boy on the corner, crying for the Bulls. But because you can relate to that, I think that's what makes you so great at what you do. And it's so important for us to have that pointed points, pointed point of reference towards bullshit. Don't sell the fans on bullshit. Don't talk down to us on bullshit. And that's really what they brought in, a shoe salesman as a head coach, and they backed it up. They talked about collaboration for 45 minutes and kept every presser became some corporate communicative. What slogan are we going to use this time? And it became so disrespectful to people like you and I and Shayne that live it and die with it. So I'm going to push back on you and say your direct truth is really what's necessary in 2022. People are dying from the pandemic. People are fighting over politics, not looking at the bigger. People are filming fights instead of breaking them up. This world needs people like you with our one getaway from life. We're all paying bills and taxes and all this bullshit, right? But the Chicago Bears, despite the McCaskies and everything, it's football. It's the Chicago goddamn Bears. My father said it to me on this show. He said, I remember when the Chicago Bears would come to town and they were fucking animals. Now they look like a bunch of pussies, is his exact words. And that culture, I'm sorry if that offends anybody, I'm quoting my dad, that culture is what's missing. And you're the type of guy that I feel like George McCaskey's like, oh boy, here comes Potsy's question. Now let me ask you this. Does the PR department ever come at you and say, listen, you got to be, or this, you can't do this? Do they ever give you kind of a boundary to what it is you can ask?
Not at all. Not at all. I've never had any, I sometimes I'd like to know what they're thinking, but and sometimes I think I know.
You're not alone.
But no, they've been real good about that, and a lot of, and same with a lot of people who have been, doing the same thing that I've been doing. I don't think anybody's ever. I don't think too much, but I don't get a lot of response from the Bears, to tell you the truth. They just kind of let me do my thing. And I guess I've been around a while, or maybe I just don't matter. It could be one of the two things, but no, to answer your question, no, I have not. But let me say this though, and I appreciate it, Phil. But now we're transitioning. You got to remember. See, now it's a tough spot. I'm in a tough spot now because
because of what you said.
We saw that at the press conference where I was still kind of digging in on the process, and I thought that was to me that was tough that they waited too long to have they had both the coach and the GM at the press conference, which made it awkward. But I still thought the process was a point of contention, as we talked about earlier, and there was a lot of pushback on that because now everybody wants to, okay, now and you hear all the cliches that I've been mocking on Twitter. About how great every coach is. And then, Scott Pioli says how great Poles is. He also said how great Phil Emery was,
Right. Exactly.
They also said, they talk about how everybody, they always, it's been a cliche. But my original point is that Now we're transitioning to a much more positive. The clock, whether you like it or not, the clock has been restarted. But if they would have just changed the GM or the coach, it would have been one thing. But they did what people wanted, and they did both. And while it's tough, 10 years with no playoff wins, they have effectively restarted the clock, and so it's fair. It's fair to be positive and to think things are going to work out. It's unfair, though, to push back on guys like me who are saying you should be skeptical because you have no right.
Totally
if you've
agree.
been a Kool-Aid drinking Bears fan and you thought that Phil Emery was the answer, and you thought Mark Trestman was the answer, you thought John Fox was the answer, and Ryan Pace was the answer, and Matt Nagy was the answer, and you were wrong. You have no right to push back on people who are skeptical about, hey, let's wait, maybe this will work out, but maybe it won't. And so, that's where I push back on people like that.
You have every right to do that.
I'm
and
sorry.
We've said it. You have every right to do that. And Shayne and I are fighting. We had Jason McKee, former fullback of the Bears, on last week, and he's a coach. And he said the same thing as we're saying. Every Bears fan has the right to fold their arms and say, prove it. Your job. I'm speaking for Mark now. Our job here is the same thing. We got to keep it 100. Talk about the truth. So Mark's job is to dig into the truth. The way it went down, you have every right to rain on the quote unquote happy day parade.
Yeah,
try to find the truth in there. I think your point tonight, the mic drop moment, is George and Ted's record and is the whole in-person meeting of a human being. I was talking about that right before you came on the show. I was talking about it on the personnel side. Like, I'm going to get guys wrong because I didn't sit down with the player and find out who the man is. Like, does Eddie Goldman, does Tariq Cohen love the game of football? I would find that out if I sat down with them. I don't think Ryan Pace did a good job of finding that out with some of these players that he selected, like Shaheen, Leonard Floyd, Goldman, Tariq Cohen. These are players that are flash, but are they consistent? No. So to your point, I think every fan should be 100% supportive of Mark Potash digging at, if you got a pimple on your face and it's a whitehead, you better pop it. And I think that's the kind of guy we need in our corner that's going to ask those popping questions that are going to get to the truth. I think you do a great job. That's why I wanted you on this show so bad, because I think you're gaining more respect. I could see the chat room already. Like, thank God, Potsy is giving facts here. So don't worry, but we're supporting you on this end, Mark.
Well, I appreciate that, Bill. But I guess what I'm saying also is that now we're in a point. Now we're at a stage where, you got to kind of look and at least kind of give them the benefit of the doubt now. And okay, they've made the changes. Now let's see and be positive. And I think and our reporting, and I think my questions or whatever, everyone's will I think hopefully will reflect that, because I don't want to be just the guy with the hammer all the time. That's a really that can turn into a negative. And I think only when it's appropriate. It was appropriate in January,
exactly.
February. It's less appropriate at mini camp, after the draft, training camp, whatever. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm saying right now, I'm not going softball, but I think we have to respect the changes that they made, and at least give them a chance to prove themselves and say, hey, maybe things will be different. Always remembering that the process, how the process went, what it produced, and what history says about the Bears.
Call us up and put us on speakerphone. We'll help you out, Mark, at those pressers. But just to go back a little bit, I always, the collaboration presser, I've always thought this with the Bears. I always felt like they got in this little huddle and they found some little blurb someplace, and then that's what they're going to pound over our head. And this is one that we had found in the Harvard Business School magazine that they put out. And I want you to listen to this and tell me what you think about when I just say these words. And this is the direct blurb right here. When organizations or teams focus too much on collaboration, individuals can become focused on what they need to get done. They don't take the time to acknowledge others' past efforts. They fixate on the what and they miss the importance of discussing the why, which is essential to ensuring that the work has purpose and meaning. So to me, it was like somebody at Hallis Hall got their business, their Harvard Business School magazine in the mail that day, and they read that blurb and was like, holy shit, Matt, you need to go out there and start talking about the whys. We're going to talk about the collaboration, and then that they stuck with it the entire time. And that is what's leading this franchise.
And that is what football has been about. That coach, if that's coach speak, GM speak, all the secrecy, everything they do, following the leader. It's like doing everything that Bill Belichick does, even though they don't know what it is that makes them successful and what doesn't. That's I guess what I'm saying. That's the football culture. That's their nature, is to do that, and that's why it works. It works with good teams, and it looks bad. I always say leadership is overrated on bad teams. Leadership cannot make a bad team good. It's not going to put you. Leadership matters when you have a team that's almost ready to be there, like the Blackhawks had a fantastic leadership group when they started to get good, and that's why they won 3 cups. That's why that's why they were successful. But leadership, collaboration, even culture. I say you don't want a bad culture. Because you don't want to have Antonio Browns and OBJs on your team. That you will not win. Or not to disparage Brandon Marshall or Brandon Marshall Martellus Bennett.
Yeah.
You can't. That doesn't. You still need you need to be a good locker room. But the idea of focusing on, like you were just saying, Shayne, that focusing on that as like your big thing, culture. Right. I think that overrates it. And what happens is I think what you're saying is you put too much importance on that as opposed to what you actually need to do to win. It's like thinking that Bill Belichick, because he disrespects the media or doesn't respect the media, that's why he won. So now we're going to curtail all our media access,
right?
Okay? Yeah, because it worked for him, even though they don't realize that's not what did. That's just Bill Belichick being Bill Belichick. That's not why he won. That happens to be connected to him winning. They copy that, and that's what they. And so to me, they do too much of that, and not okay. What do we need to do to win? And that is the worst case scenario for an ownership like the McCaskies, because they love that. Agree. When they see guys get along, they love it, and that's why these guys hung on as long as they did. They would have been fired the year before if they didn't get along so well. And I think that was a question I might have asked in some way. Someone is they just put too much value in guys getting along. Not that shouldn't be valued, but they put too much value in that. And I think that's what the problem is. And so to tell you, as I'm talking, I'm thinking, that's if this thing doesn't go right, I guess what I'm saying, you still got a McCaskey problem on your hands here. Okay. Yeah. They still own the team. And these guys are new, young guys who they don't know hey, I'm staying away from these guys. They don't know anything about football. No, they're going to be having coffee with them and talking to them. And you get immersed in that whole thing and that dysfunction. That's what it is, that dysfunctional thinking. And so that's why things can go wrong. I'm not saying they will, and I hope they don't. Lord knows. And people think like when I write critical things or ask questions, like I'm rooting for them to fail. It couldn't be. The worst experience of my life was the last 10 weeks of the season. It was a death march where there were no answers. There was nothing you could do. We knew that Matt Nagy's offense was he was so lost. And you guys follow the press conferences probably more than I do, but his answers to those questions, it was just bizarre. Yes. And so that was a nightmare. That's the last thing I want. All I'm saying is this is still a McCaskey operation, and there is an aura, there is the dysfunction there that when you can get sucked into it. And that's why I always say what happens is you become the worst version of yourself. Ryan Pace, I always say Ryan Pace, when he was with New Orleans, he's one of the guys thinking that Drew Brees is a great quarterback. We should sign him. Well, when he comes to the Bears, all of a sudden he thinks Mike Glenn is a great quarterback. What happens between that one time and the other? And so maybe that's not a great example, but what I'm saying is the more you become, you talk to them, you chat with them, this and that, and even if it's about nothing, it just seems
men of great character. Remember?
It seems like you become immersed in this, and you become, and this is just a theory, I can't prove it, but you just become the worst version of yourself. Yep. And everybody, like at least on offense, became the worst version of themselves. I mean, it's a trickle down effect. So I don't mean to bring everybody down. All I'm saying is this effect is still there. But
It's
still,
like
I'm
the
hopeful.
termite. It's like termites, and you're doing real estate. The McCaskies are the termites. You don't want them.
And hopefully, so these guys can overcome it. But it's a
Exactly.
little. You got a first time GM, a first time coach. They're going to have to be real independent and really. It's tough to expect someone to grow into a job at Hallis Hall because there's too much dysfunction. You can't become your own person. You get a better chance of becoming your own person with the Steelers than you do with the Bears because there's just not enough of that kind, whatever it is that the Steelers have.
There's no accountability. I think the fan said it.
Yeah.
It starts there. I don't see, just like you said at the top, it had to come from owners stay in your lane. My uncle Sam Retigliano with the Browns, he would say, the owner is an owner. That's it. That's your place. The GM could come down here. We could talk and go through football things, but the owner just has to put their trust and faith in the football people because their job is marketing and media outlets. Get Adam Rankin here and hype up the players. Do this, but don't intrude on the culture and the level of accountability that a coach and a GM are trying to build. And they're saying all the right things. Now, I got to ask you this, because I'd be remiss if I didn't, is I thought I was blindsided by this point in the presser. That's all we know, that Justin Fields is brought out at the end. That, to me, was something I wouldn't expect the McCaskies to do. So I totally know it wasn't them. It was, this is our franchise quarterback going forward. He's going to answer some questions on the day we've announced a new accountability, a new culture here, a new coach, a new GM, an assistant GM, all of these things. Obviously, other pieces were still being, but Getsy was under, he was in the building at that point too. So what are your thoughts about Justin Fields, the quarterback? You're around him. You were around him. Is he, much like you saying with Mitch, a product that was neglected by a head coach that completely was a buffoon when it came to the offensive side of the football?
Well, it wasn't just that. It was the fact that he had a very awkward introduction to the NFL because he was a backup. He never got first team reps. Then he was in, and then it was then they even just a transition from him to being the starter was awkward, and it was just managed. It was typical management at Hallis Hall. It was mismanaged. And I will say this though, not to get too far off track, but they were stuck at the beginning, I feel like, because they signed Andy Dalton before they knew they can get Justin Fields. And Andy Dalton was signed pretty much with the promise that he would be the starting quarterback. And I know people say, well, you should be able to just pull the rug out from under him, or you can't not play your best prospect because you'll lose the locker room. I think you also lose respect if you sign a guy to a contract and tell him he's going to be the starter and then pull the rug out from under him just because you got a draft pick. I think that's, to me, that is, and I know people don't agree with that, but I thought they were stuck there, but they just still didn't manage well. But anyway, to Justin Fields, yes. I feel like we don't know anything about him. I think this was to me a lost year. I don't, by the eye test, to me, I've been saying it all year, he is better than Trubisky. We know that he's a better athlete. I think he has better instincts for the game, and for the position, not just the game, the position. And I think with the right coaching, he can be the elite quarterback that they expect him to be. Whereas I wouldn't have said that when Nagy came, even before we knew about Nagy. When Nagy came in about Trubisky, he just didn't show the same thing to me. So I think I think it's a better starting point. I agree with that. But I think this was like a lost year. I think he's going to have to relearn a lot of things or unlearn a lot of things. And what will that transition be like? Exactly. I always say he's not Justin Herbert going into year 2. Let's put it that way. He's not the guy who showed what he can be. So I'm kind of in between. He's not the Justin Herbert guy who showed what he can be, but he's not the guy, the bust. He's, to me, even though his numbers were not good, to me, because of the Nagy factor, he's not a bust either,
Right.
So I think there's, but so I know I'm not answering the question, but only because I just don't know. I just think he's a blank slate at this point, and it's up to the coaching staff, Getsy and everyone else they have
Yeah.
to put him in an offense that allows him to do what he does best, because he hasn't had that yet.
Imagine that.
Do you think, Mark, though, just in this is obviously a big deal. I mean, if you're going to be the leader of a franchise at that position, I just look at Justin Fields, just the way that he handles himself in the post-game press conferences, in any press conference. You spoke to it yourself with Mitch. Mitch always had the water bottle up there and was pounding the waters. He never looked comfortable. To me, Justin Fields he's got a little bit of that swag. None of it ever felt too big for him. And obviously there's so much more to being a big-time quarterback in the NFL. But to me, even with all of the craziness that was going on at Hallis Hall, Justin Fields still went out there and spoke with confidence. He would break down in detail plays. It wasn't the bullshit from, no, we got to go back to the tape. I have no idea. How much do you think that matters going forward? I mean, is that something that you can pull from that maybe you learned from Justin Fields, that mentally he's strong?
I think it's one of those things, frankly, Shayne, I don't think it matters that much now, but a year from now, we could be saying it mattered a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Because he seemed above it. He seemed above it all. Even when he was backing up his coach during the season with all the changes, he seemed above it all. And I thought it was really interesting at the press conference when they did bring him out there, which was a great move by the Bears.
Totally agree.
He said without saying, if I can read people at my age, I think I can, that he is very glad to be going into a new offense, and he feels like he is unleashed from whatever he was under. And he didn't say that exactly, but you could just tell that that's his feeling. And to me, that's a good sign. Does that mean anything? He still has a whole lot to prove. But what I'm saying is, a year from now, we'll be saying, now it makes sense. So yeah, and I think it's a positive. I just don't know if how much of a difference it makes at this point. But I'd rather see it than not. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
I think you're 100% right. It's like that kid when you're in college, he's answering or putting the professor in his place. And you're like, wait, I just felt like Justin Fields knew how completely fraudulent Matt Nagy was and had the integrity and the strength, really, in a young kid. It showed a lot of maturity to know. I mean, others have broken and said, this coach sucks. This guy handled himself really well. But let me ask you this question. On the defensive side of the football, when you look at the switch over to the 4-3 defense, and you look at this football team, obviously we have talked. I have no issues with Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn playing the defensive ends. I do feel like Akeem Hicks can easily play the 3 technique, and I've showed everybody why. Obviously, he's been hurt. That is a point of contention here, but he's been a articulate leader of men out there that plays 100 miles per hour on those plays with a staff that's saying no loafs and hits. Where do you think there is a possibility of Akeem Hicks returning under this administration in your mind?
I would doubt it because of the health factor. He's just missed too many games.
Mm-hmm.
And now you do have some question. He's a guy who, it's an interesting, now I'm not an X and O guy. You guys know much more about it than I do. But it's interesting that he came here in Fangio's defense, and it was like the perfect spot. He could not hide how happy he was and how important it was for him to be here. It's why he stayed here, because he knew this was the spot. That said, he was coming from where I think he was playing like a 4-3 defensive end. It wasn't a 3 technique situation. It wasn't a tackle situation. Now you could make the argument, and I think you're doing that, Phil, that he could reinvent himself as a 3 technique. And I totally agree that at full, if he's 100% healthy, if he had played every game the last 2 years, I'd say absolutely, because I love the guy. He's the one guy I'm biased for. Because before COVID, he was the one of the few guys who I felt like I had a relationship with, and a guy who would engage you. and a guy who would, go back and forth with you and understood you and stuff like that. And I admit I don't have I take pride in not having any biases. That's why I can kind of fly the way I fly. But he's one guy who I'd say, I would be hoping he could stay because I just like him so much. But he's also been very effective. But to me, the health thing, and I'm big on that, is
let me ask you this:
it's going to be a big question mark. And with the transition, I just don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna stick around.
Yeah, he's missed 20 games over the last 3 years.
It should be 19 games because that last game.
Well, either way,
he was suspended though, but he was carrying himself. That week before, he was dominant. I know he got into a fight with Rumpf on the sideline. Were you there for that? Apparently, he's had exchanged words with Nagy. At what point does somebody that? Okay, let me ask you this. The captain rotation and all of that bullshit minutia of the Nagy culture. Here's a guy that should be wearing a C. That's being talked to by a offensive side of the football that's pathetic, that can't figure out how good David Montgomery is. All of that minutia. At what point does he not say, you know what? F you, Nagy, F you, and this, and he got upset in Rump's face, and Nagy throws him off, and he's not playing against the Minnesota Vikings the next week. He's, quote, hurt. I don't know. If I'm Poles and I'm preaching toughness, leadership, and all of these things, here's a homegrown talent. I know he's 32. I hope they bring him in and talk to him because I feel I'm with you, Potsy. I look at the tape. This guy can dominate next to Quinn and Hicks in a 4-3 and put him at that 3. He is a freak. Again, the health thing, but a fair deal to a 32-year-old. Stay in Chicago. We want toughness. I love that. He didn't want to kiss Nagy's ass. That's really the ultimate thing there. I don't know.
It wouldn't be a discipline question. I don't think it wouldn't be anything like a discipline question. And to tell you the truth, of all the transition, we're gonna overwrite the heck out of the defensive transition thing. There's really only one position or two that really make a difference, and that's the 3 technique. Both tackle positions, because that's where everything starts in their 4-3, especially if you just looked at Indianapolis, you see how important it is and makes their linebackers better. And that's, but anyway, yeah, but I just feel like my experience is like Hicks is one of those guys. I like him. He's one of those guys who I would say, oh man, sign him. And then you'll regret it a year later or 2 later, because he's 32. And I've just seen too many guys lose it. And if he had not been injured, I would agree with you. But I guess I would say I'd like it if he came back, if they could find a way to get him healthy. And maybe that was an issue too. They have a new training staff, so who knows? Maybe they thought that was an issue, and that's a whole different issue, is how they handle injuries these days. But anyway, I would like to see him back. But if I were in his position, I would be thinking about it, because 32. With the injuries he's had, but he's a great guy to have on your team. And he's a guy who the C would make him an even better player, a better leader. That's why you need the C and not the rotating thing, the leadership thing. That's the exact opposite of, that's so ironic. The whole 3 different captains every week. That's the opposite of what a captain is.
Exactly.
The Hawks have had one captain in 12 years, Jonathan Taves. In the same span, the Bears have had like 150 captains.
Yeah.
I mean, so anyway, so going back to that, I think that would be great. That would be great. Like I said, I think captain's a little different issue. But yeah, I like Hicks. Like I said, I'm a little biased because I like him. But and that would, if I were a GM, that might force me into a bad decision. But I see where you're coming from.
Me too.
But it'd be risky. It would be risky.
But what about a fair deal, Mark? A fair veteran deal? You're what? 2 years, $12 million. Plus $3 million, get 2 years, 15
Drew Rosenhaus is his agent. I'm not sure how much they're gonna.
Well,
he really 32.
Yeah, if they could get that, but what who knows what the Bears think is a fair deal too. But my guess is new people coming in, they're just gonna say it's not worth the risk, because they don't know him. One thing, they don't know what the impact he has in the locker room, and Akeem kind of went a little haywire this year too, at least from our perspective. I don't know what it was like on the team inside the locker room, because we didn't see. But for us, like I said, he was a go-to guy for me. But he was really he changed.
Well,
this
can
year.
the culture change? I mean,
I don't know, but maybe that was the response. Maybe
Bruce Irvin off the practice squad. He's a captain.
Maybe it's one of those things where everything bad is good because of it became kind of dysfunctional. So maybe that's a good sign that he was fighting with his defensive line coach.
I love that.
Maybe that's a guy you should keep. You know, what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You don't get rid of the defensive line coach and keep the player. So there might be something to that. But if they kept Hicks, I would be very happy. But it'd be one of those things where I'd be happy and then I'd be ripping polls for saying, why'd you keep this 32-year-old guy with a history of injuries? So I'd be totally hypocritical.
You have to stay 1 point. Don't flip-flop for us. Shayne, you got one last
I do, yeah, Mark. You've been super gracious with your
We
time.
got one favor, though, after the last question.
After this, but we can't have you on and not ask you about the James Daniels back and forth. I watched it, or
we listened to it
through
5 times.
Yeah, and it literally made my entire body tense up listening to it. I'm like, oh my God. I guess he's an impending free agent. Do you think that James Daniels is going to be back and just talk on that situation a little bit and what was going through your mind when that unfolded?
Let's see. First of all, for one thing, I hope they sign him. I think he's a really good player. I think he's the kind of player who, like I said, I think in my opinion, the Nagy offense made everybody look as bad as they can be, and he was like the best guy they had. So if he's that good in this offense, wait till you get into a real offense. You plug him into I could be wrong. You plug him into the Chiefs' offensive line at right guard, and they still win the Super Bowl, or they still do whatever they're doing. He's that.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of guys like that on the Bears line, frankly, but him in particular, he's your keeper. He's your guy that you really got to keep. And he is a good guy. He's an engaging guy. As far as that incident, that was bizarre. I kind of forgot about it. I'm trying to, as you guys are talking, I'm remembering.
You were going back and forth.
That was not my finest moment. I'll say that. I don't think I handled that well.
Or his.
Yeah. I didn't handle that well.
I thought you were innocent.
It was so bizarre.
Yes.
And I'm not thinking about what happened was, it probably wasn't a great question by me. I was just I think he had said that he had referred to the whole kumbaya thing, and he didn't call it, my words, not his. But the whole culture thing, and then he mentioned, because I played for a guy in college who was just the opposite.
Kirk
Ferentz. My thinking was, well, wait a second, you won in college, and you didn't win here. What Exactly. So I just said, it's just one of those things that just popped in my head. And I said, hey, Matt Nagy did the buddy system thing, and that didn't work, and Kirk Ferentz was the hard ass, and you won. Maybe do you think the Bears need a little more? I think that's actually a fair question.
Absolutely.
Now that I think about it, and he could have easily said, "Hey, in college it works, and pros that Kirk Ferentz thing doesn't, and that's why Kirk Ferentz is still in the college." He could, but what happened is here now that I think of it, what happened was he hates Iowa because of that whole situation with the weight guy, and he did, and I put him in a position where he was going to have to defend Iowa, and he did not want to do that. So he took the conversation into a totally different realm, and I was in a bad mood because I just been through 10 weeks of this death march, and I was in no mood for it. So I was not going to just let it go there. And he starts giving me this, I wish I would have had my thoughts better together. It was a bad episode, but I like James Daniels. But anyway. So that was not. So that's why that went off the tracks, was because he was doing something goofy, like questioning whether they won more at Iowa, where like they had more when he was like 12-2 one year and 8-5. I mean, it's just silly. He was making a silly argument because he refused to defend Iowa. He hates Iowa. That's why he says, "I'm from whatever James Polk High School or whatever."
Yeah.
On the introductions or whatever school in Ohio.
On Sunday Night Football.
But anyway, he just does not like Iowa, and I put him in a position where he had to defend Iowa. He did not want to do that, and plus he's one of those guys. He's done that 2 or 3 times, even maybe earlier in that conversation. He always thinks you're putting him on the spot, and maybe I was. I guess I was. I guilty as charged. But he always thinks that, and he's always which is kind of strange because if you know him, he's a really engaging guy, and we only had 1 or 2 years where we were in the locker room with him. But if I remember, he's a really good guy, and he will talk football with you, and he is engaging. He gave you a
great quote. I thought it was a mic drop moment in that weird exchange.
Well, tell me, because I don't even recall. I totally blanked out.
Hey, I watched the 49ers, and they have a Pro Bowl all pro left tackle,
Chipping.
and they're
Yeah.
chipping on, when they're playing an average team. Here we are. And
We're left on an island.
We're
Yeah.
left on an island, and we're not. So he threw the offense, Juan Castillo and Matt Nagy, under the bus on the philosophy of just leaving these tackles and allowing Justin Fields to get killed.
To that point, and this is where I think this is kind of what I took away from it too, is once he said that, I think he started to think in his mind like, holy shit, there's a chance that I may be getting a $50 million deal extension from this team, $10 million a year, and I'm publicly kind of dragging the organization. Maybe to me, that's where he started to think about maybe I shouldn't, and he just kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit there, and everything went off the rails from there. But
yeah, and it was bad timing because it was with a irritated me. And that just it was not, like I said, not my finest moment. I didn't like it, but I do like James Daniels. I think he's a good guy to have in your team.
Yep.
And I think he's a really good player. I think he'll be a Pro Bowl player in a real offense. And he's still a young guy. And definitely think he's a keeper. It'll be interesting to see. Like I remember when Pace came in, everybody has their different thoughts on players. When Pace came in, he actually, after 1 year. The first year was 15, and I thought Matt Slauson was like their best offensive lineman because Kyle Long was a tackle, and he was good but not great. And it wasn't as good. So I thought Matt, and then he cut. If you remember, he cut Matt Slauson. It was a weird. I remember actually went to talk to him about it just off the record just to find out what he was thinking, and but as it turns out, they just didn't see him as a starting player, even though he was to me, So what my point is, it'll be interesting to see what guy like Poles, who is an offensive line guy, thinks about James Daniels, whether he'll be worth it. Not that whether he can play.
So was Cunningham, his assistant's an O-line guy too, Ian Cunningham.
Right. So that, which is probably, not to get off on a tangent here, but is actually was one of those things that will, if the Bears win, will look like a great thing in retrospect, that they got offensive. They finally took the offensive line seriously, because that was Pace's biggest failing, is that he said we'll draft a quarterback every year, and he never drafted a quarterback, and knew that the draft, knew that the offensive line was a key factor, and was always satisfied with what he had and never wanted to get better, and now they want to do that. So anyway, we'll see what he thinks. We'll see what Poles thinks about James Daniels, because it will cost him to keep him, and they do have the money to do it now. Yeah. But they have so many holes to fill that they don't have as much money as it looks like.
35 free agents.
Yeah,
35 free agents.
So we'll see. But I like James Daniels. I don't know if that was the question, but
I can sum it up. Potash, yes. James Daniels, try to re-sign him. Maybe Akeem Hicks. Our hearts are in Akeem Hicks.
Right.
But listen, I know we've kept you a long time, and I don't want to keep you much longer, but I do have a favor that I ask all our first-time guests to just give a station ID, and that is, hey, this is Mark Potash, Chicago Bears beat reporter for the Sun-Times. I'm keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies network.
Holy
Can you
cow.
do that?
I
keeping it 100.
I have to write that down to be able
really
to do that. Yes.
So, hey, I'm Mark Potash, and then you tell your story right there. And then you just say, keeping it 100 on the Tape Never Lies network. So it's your story, which, however, I don't want to write it for you. Sun-Times, Chicago beat reporter. You can cut Sun-Times out if you want. I don't.
We had Adam Johns on when he was at the Sun-Times. It took him 14 takes, Mark. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Is this still live?
We are live here.
Oh, great.
You're getting,
great.
Listen, great interview. Mark Potash, you're the best. Great interview, guys. You were great. Look at that. So great. Corey Kennedy, great show, guys. I can go on and keep throwing up these great comments for you, but I can count you down when you're ready.
Okay.
Do you think you're confident in this?
No, I'm not. I'm not confident at all. Are you kidding?
Come on, Mitch. Come on, Mitch.
Come on, Mitch.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold accountability here. No loafing. Mark Potash, Sun-Times. I love this guy. If you
What's
catch
the opening line again?
Hey, this is Mark Potash
right,
from the
okay.
Chicago Sun
Keeping
Times.
it 100 on the Tape Never Lies network.
All right,
I'm keeping it 100 on the look. It's right.
You're giving
up
him
on the
too much
screen.
information, Phil. Let
Yeah.
him roll.
All right. Listen. Go ahead, Mark.
All right,
3, 2, 1.
Hey, I'm Mark Potash, a beat writer for the Bears.
There we go.
0 for 1. What's the
two.
number? 4?
14 was
14 was John's. Yep.
Adam
really?
Johns.
Oh, I
Yes.
can beat that. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, it's Mark Potash, Bears beat writer for the Chicago Sun Times. Keep it at 100 on the Tape Never Lies network.
Yes.
We'll take it.
No, we'll do
take
one
it.
more. We can do one.
All
more.
right,
We'll
look at
do
it.
one more. I'll count them down. If you're just tuning in, this guy's the best beat reporter on the Chicago Bears. I know. I love Dion Miller. She's coming up next week on this show. And Mark Grody's my boy, Zach, all of these
Grody's
guys,
great
but
too.
they know. I'll tell them when they come on. Mark Potash is if Akeem Hicks is Potash's heart, Mark, you're mine when it comes to the beat. So here we go. I've delayed enough. 3, 2, 1.
Hey, it's Mark Potash, Bears beat writer for the Chicago Sun Times. Keep it at 100 on the Tape Never Lies network.
Boom! This dude had confidence. He's like, no, fuck, I can do it.
Get him that contract
Get
extension.
him that contract extension, Ryan Poles. I would extend you. Listen, thank you so very much for your valuable time. I'm going to have my producer. Unfortunately, his child got a little sick tonight. So he scheduled this, but we want to give you some swag, and we'll get your address, send you a TTNL swag, and we'll also send you that intro we produce for you because we truly do appreciate you. You gave me goosebumps tonight, Mark.
Well,
we got to have you on again.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can build this relationship because it's not smoke. I really, truly appreciate it.
I appreciate that, Bill. Thanks, Shayne. I enjoyed it as much as as much as I can enjoy these things. I'm really not great at them, but I appreciate it.
Oh, you are great.
One quick question: did you read all the books behind you?
Most of them, yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Oh yeah, a lot of those Bears books. A lot of them. They're great.
Our producer has a fat head of books behind him.
They're all
when
fake.
we put them up there, and they're all fake. So it's impressive.
Oh,
to
no, those are all
actual
real.
books up there.
I'm old, and when I was young, I used to do a lot of reading. So
love it.
Yeah, those are all.
Did you have a favorite book that someone should read? If you were to give anybody, say, hey, check this book out, what would it be?
It's not really sports related. I guess a favorite book. I'm a history nut, so there's a book by William Manchester called "The Glory and the Dream," and it's kind of a slice of life kind of history tale from 1932 to like 1972, which for somebody my age was a really incredible time in history.
Yep.
And it's just, to me, it's I wouldn't say, I don't know about riveting, but it's just really interesting because it's, like I said, it's slice of life. It tells you what life was like. It doesn't just tell you that. It just takes you back into time. And any movie, any book, anything that does that, I'm just such a history nut that would be it. The Glory and the Dream, William.
The Glory and the Dream. I'm gonna get it for my dad. Like, he lives for history books, so I'm gonna buy it for him, and I'll let you know what he thinks because he'll polish it in 2 days. That dude.
Yeah. No, it's an easy read too. Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Mark Potash, Chicago Sun Times, Chicago Bears beat writer. I love you. Thank you so much for coming on this show.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Shayne. Thanks for all your support. It means a lot. I appreciate it.
Yep.
It's coming even bigger now. I think if you don't follow Mark on Twitter, obviously give him some love on Twitter. Support my guy. Let him know that you saw him here on TTNL. You're a TTNL fan, and let Mark Potash know he's doing a great job. Seriously, I would call it out. You really do what needs to be done. And I think that kind of transparency is important. So
thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All righty.
Thanks,
Mark Potash. Shayne, that was just phenomenal television. If you're listening on the podcast version, this guy, Mark Potash, is just, he's not a nerd. but he.
No.
There
Who
he
is?
is.
Who
There he
is?
is. In my soliloquy about Mark Potash cars. I don't know if you got to listen to any of it.
He changed his name too. Look at him down there dropping
Yeah,
bombs.
that sounds right. That sounds about right. Yeah, I did catch a little. I did catch it. I started to hear a little bit about, especially when you guys were talking about him in the process. So it was fun to hear some of those portions.
I do love my guests, Chris, especially when they're that good. I mean, shout out to Bullets. I always say you fans are the ones that reach out. Where's Adam Rank? Adam Rank was in the chat room. You fans reach out to these people and get them on the show. I've been begging Adam Rank's boy, Kyle Brandt, Fairweather Brandt, in parts of Connecticut, he's known as.
Adam was taking some
taking
body shots.
He was
in
taking
chat.
some shots.
That is.
Let's play an Adam Rank highlight for Cars. Cars is our nerd, so he can comment on this.
You mentioned bringing in some of the free agents from the Colts too. Who do you think is going to play that linebacker spot?
Yeah, it'll really depend on who they want to bring in. I wish you put the breaking news before that. Like breaking news, the guys who will be here will be the guys under contract for the 22-23 season. We've heard it here first.
You've heard it here first. I used to love that voice. Remember the Saturday morning Super Friends voice?
Yeah.
When, meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice, meanwhile, Captain Obvious.
Oh, you froze him when you asked him to name somebody and not a statistic. That's
It's like,
well,
wait, no numbers?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, Cars. You know, we've talked. There is a place for all of that in what we do. I mean, the analytics and the numbers. There is a place for that, but it can't be the be all end all. You can't. I mean,
the eyes have to match the numbers. The numbers have to match the eyes, right? Like it's always the way that is, and it's funny. Like look at his yards per carry. Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay. How many offensive linemen are getting to the second level? How many times is a wide receiver holding the block?
Who's the play caller?
Yeah. I mean, there's all these things. It's in one point, if you say the running back is kind of like the least valued position in the NFL, and you want to use numbers to back that up.
What?
But to go out and be like, this guy's good, but this says he sucks, is really a hot take, I guess.
Yeah.
What?
Exactly, Angelo. Angelo doesn't even get it. I'm with you. I just want to finish and say what a great human being Potash is. And I truly was getting goosebumps, Shayne.
Well, you can tell that it matters to him,
Yes,
Phil. And like
that's the difference, though.
The part that stood out to me was, obviously wasn't Bears related, but he's like, I was the kid at the bus stop crying when the Bulls lost to the Warriors back in the day. Yeah, absolutely. But that show, that's us. That's what we live and die with every day with this team. And to be shit on by ownership and management over and over and over again, yet we come back, that it matters to us.
It does.
I listened to somebody, I forget who exactly it was today. The Bears haven't had 3 winning seasons consecutively since 1988.
Probably Cars.
Let
He's
that,
the only one that recognizes those real
but
stats.
let that, think about that. That's
even the best years of Lovey, right? Yeah. And he was the one time that had back to back. We've only had back to back because I don't count 8 and 8 one time since post Ditka, right? To have like back to back 10-win seasons. It's really weird how it's.
I think you knocked it out of the park, Shayne.
Yeah,
I think that's the different ingredient in Mark Potash.
Yeah,
there's a real complete emotion. Salt and pepper, real emotion in there.
And a lot of these reporters,
that's the difference. They don't give a fuck.
Well,
I'll say this. I'm sorry. I was covering the Bears with a hat on for Bears Wire, USA Today, and I'm watching practice.
I got a phone call that day.
And I kid you guys not, Now, I got none but respect. R.I.P. J.D. Jeff Dickerson. But Jeff Dickerson, Brad Biggs, Adam Johns, they're over there in a corner while practice is going on. Bullshitting. Not even watching practice. And I'm sitting there as a fan looking back on my childhood, getting to the mailbox to pull out Bear Report.
Oh, yeah.
And see who was the inside centerfold so I can hang that guy up. Brad Muster or whoever.
Oh, Muster. The neck roll. Oh, the good old neck
Jeremy Stoltz and the Bear Report. I knew that I couldn't.
My God.
I got blocked by that dude on Twitter. Jeremy
Yeah,
Stoltz was the
that's when it
lead
went
dog
down.
at Bear Report, and I'm like, oh boy,
Oh,
that was.
that's
I used to live for that magazine.
My mom
that
gave
newspaper.
me that as a birthday present because we didn't have the internet. We digested everything Bear. I was like, a newspaper, a magazine devoted to the Bears? Yes, please.
Yeah, kids, just so you know, news used to be on paper. So that's something that if for our younger listeners that might throw you off a little.
Didn't always come through in PDF format. Where you could just put it on all your devices.
No, it did not. But
Phil,
that's my point. They didn't. He cares. I'm not.
But it's
Listen,
not just that he cares about the team,
100.
Phil. I think he feels the passion that comes
For the
from guys
fans
like us.
more.
There's so many beat reporters that, like, I've had conversations, like, not over the phone, but
Kaplan
via DM.
cares. I'm just saying too.
Exactly. But I've had quite long conversations via DM with some beat guys, and they talk down. Just you'll bring up a point, and the first thing that they do is they go into attack mode because they think that you're attacking them, and it's not about that. I'm just bringing up a friggin' point, but they talk down to the fans like, who the fuck are you? You know, and then you hear them say, oh, I gotta go to Minnesota in week 18 to cover the Bears again, and it's 20 degrees out. Yeah, it's in a fucking dome and it's 72.
I gotta go to Miami.
Getting out of your fucking car.
But you guys, there's one other part that he hits though, is you got to remember Potsy's like 60 years old.
Yeah.
He was one of the few that was a grown adult during the Finks Ditka era and saw what an organization does when it's put together.
Yep.
So he's got all it when you factor in like most of the younger guys today, they're your age, my age, or younger, where it's, you know, you're 5 or 6 years old and it's the Bears, right? And then most of your adult life is the Wani past era that has been nothing but, well, not nothing, but majority dysfunction.
Yeah.
Potsy's at least seen it when it was good and knew what good looked like and has that history built in that I think fuels so much of this.
Really, I mean, I know my guy was joking around, but it's true. I do love the guests. I do love a guy that comes in here, understands what we are, and brings a real truth to the table and pulls back. That's what this Shayne and I sat down, and Cars has been in our life for a long time. I'm not going to change for nobody. And we're going to be as creative and we're going to try to think outside the box. But there is a reason why the sauce tastes good when you go to a restaurant that you love. You're going to continue to go back. If they change that foundation of what it is they do, then why go there? That's what this show, this network is. So you fans that are tailgating, that are in the chat, that are talking, and sometimes you're having your sidebars and whatever, but understanding that this network brings the heat when it comes to great conversation, great football. You guys are the reason. You know, we offered John Wood to come on here and speak truthfully. we're not gonna attack anybody. There's none of that. There's just complete, just like he was talking about Potash, there's this complete,
right.
I've hit the wall with the bullshit stat boy narratives. given to fans and having people believe and digest that. It's to anybody saying David Montgomery makes your team worse is nobody that you should be following. Nobody. And it's disappointing.
To your point, Phil, about John Wood, I mean, and we've essentially beat it home at this point.
Yeah.
And you and I get painted with, the same paintbrush because we're not doing it in an asshole way, but we will bring shit up that make people uncomfortable. But the thing about it is what makes us different. We're not the guys that are going to go onto social media and badmouth people and then not tag them or come on air and talk about. We've had people on air that we've went head to head with in plenty of uncomfortable situations. Not a lot of people will do that. And John knows that. But
well,
like when I extended an invitation to John, he wouldn't even respond to it. He knows. And I put right in there. We're gonna give you your forum. We're gonna let you speak about it, but we're not just gonna sit there and say, "Oh, those are some great numbers, John." No, we're gonna talk about why we completely disagree with your assessment of David Montgomery and say that you can make a case that the offense is actually that's the part that I can't fucking grasp is how I don't give a fuck what number you use. How do you tell me that the offense is worse with David Montgomery? And think that you have any legitimacy.
That's what gets me so
in what you
angry,
do.
though. Same
but that's
thing with
the thing. He's got over 10,000. He's got over 10,000 followers on Twitter, and people see that and think that gives him legitimacy. Well, no, like 9,000 of them are from the fucking, flack from fucking Bears blog with him having his sources. Was breaking news.
Do you guys follow Cars and TTNL and Shayne and Cherie on Twitter? I mean, did you fucking smash the like button?
They probably all fucking followed me until they fucking banned me from Twitter last year. I lost my account, so I started over.
I mean, ironically, Shayne, you asked him to come on the show when he and I were debating over this very article on Twitter.
Absolutely.
Right?
I forgot
Where
about
it's
that.
like, to your point, it's kind of funny. Like an offense can't get you can't get rid of good players, whatever position they are, whether the importance of those. It's very hard to find a good player at third tight end. It's very you don't just punt a guy because he might not be as good as your statistics say he should be or as good as we think he is. And for a team that has such a talent deficiency, you're just going to go ahead and be like, we've got 2 running backs, so we only need 1 and get rid of this guy? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't bash fans when they go, I want to become a patron. How do I do it? And I'm looking at the screen and it's up there for fucking 4 hours right under Shayne. TheTapeNeverLies.com. Become a patron. It's right fucking there, Keith Ricketts. It's right there. I'm letting them talk. What is he talking about?
I didn't even see. What did he say? What was the comment?
I don't know. Something about I don't let my buddies talk.
Oh, fucking love you, Keith. You want to send you some free sweat?
Smashed the like button. I don't know what there it is. Keith. Did you guys see the new update? Sorry, Keith. Well, I'm going to tune into Keith's show tomorrow. Can't wait. Did you see the update on the comments? The starred. See it, Shayne? Up in the corner? Now, all you got to do is hit starred, and then they're there. Boom. So
that's been there.
I didn't see the sidebar starred on top.
Dude, that's been there for like over a month.
Are you fucking serious?
Dead serious, bro.
And here I'm yelling at
They
people.
did put it up a
not
little
paying
bit higher
attention.
on the shelf, so maybe
yeah, it's way up top.
Yeah.
I never saw it. I never have saw it. So I'm busting balls. Listen, if you're not a big fan of TTNL, you got to understand we bust balls. I saw somebody like, Phil, can you not say the word pussy because my girlfriend doesn't like it? Well, that's a term that we use in football. I mean, there is no department here that is going to stop us from using these types of words.
Guys. I said, hey, oh, baby.
Tell your girlfriend Happy Valentine's Day from TTNL.
Happy Valentine's Day. Listen, this weekend, depending on Shayne, what fucking time I got to go to these house showings. So if you're a patron, pay attention. X's with the O's and Draft Mob will be live this weekend. Sign up to become a patron. I'm going to play this promo. X's with the O's. Last week, we broke down Akeem Hicks, showing you every play. He's in a 3-tech, dominating, showing you the kind of effort you want from a guy that should wear a C. And we broke it down with real tape, not an algorithm that somebody created for a narrative that they
How many games should he wear the C though, Phil? Is it
All
like
of
is
them.
he a 3-game guy? Is this one of the vaunted 5? Yeah.
Maybe when he plays only against the Saints and the Patriots, should we make him a captain? What do you think of that?
I think that's brilliant. That is brilliant indeed.
These guys will tell you the best abilities is availability. Yes, they'll tell you that. Not our guy Cars. Cars.
Although it is important.
If you're a TTNL fanboy, sign up, become a patron. We're going to be breaking down James Daniels.
Who's that, Phil?
Should we sign him? We're going to be breaking down James Daniels. We were talking about with Potash. James Daniels, offensive guard. Maybe he's better at center. My dad and myself will be breaking him down on X's with the O's.
X's with the O's. DDP, Coach O, Barrelissimo, and they actually figure out the whys.
Yeah, he gets to the races because Daniels actually does a great job.
But they did all that moving around, get the quarterback right into position again. For crying out loud, he's getting fancy. I haven't said it, but Phil said it 100 times. It's all trick plays. A trick with the wrong guy. He'd been better off pulling the ball and him going up the hole.
Never go backwards to get 1 yard. Look at that formation right there. They're consistently in this kind of shit. Where, say you push Allen Robinson way outside that number, put him way out there, and then put someone way down here. All of a sudden, the box gets a little less tight.
But you can tell that the accountability when it comes, no one's calling anybody out on that defense.
Those linebackers have to maintain gap responsibility. X's with the O's. Every Saturday, you get stuff like that, and we break it down like nobody else does. We're going to be looking at the tape to decide, should we? We've already decided. We showed you why Khalil Mack should be tremendous coming off injury in a 4-3 defense. We showed you why. Don't listen to an algorithm or some Twitter GM about Akeem Hicks not fitting as a 3-tech. We showed you why that's fallacy. Now we're going to take a look at James Daniels. Should we resign him? And then on Sunday, we got Draft Mob back, and we have a special interview with a center that we are going to interview and show some tape breakdown to get our draft coverage started the right way. Shayne, Barrelissimo, and myself. Do we have a promo for that? At least I could put up the picture right here. Draft Mob, become a patron for these special shows, analysis, and breakdowns. Nobody hit the draft coverage better than the Tape Never Lies did last season, including this guy, Cars, who called the trade the night before in our live mock draft. I don't know if this guy could have done that. Could you have tackled anybody, Eddie? Could you have called the trade, Eddie? No, exactly. Speaking of tackling, Shayne, this girl has been known to tackle many.
The block bitch.
The block bitch is about to go real heavy. Real quick. Real quick. Real quick. Real quick. Real quick. Oh yeah, it's that time of the show.
Time to feed the ducks, girl.
Feeding the duck.
When you
That
kill
time
him,
of the
like
show.
everybody will be like, he had it coming. You like, no one will be like, I'm amazed. Everyone will be like, no, we saw this. We knew.
Listen, we got to give our sponsor some love. They've continued to support us. In fact, they have signed on for 6 more months, saying
They heard Cherie.
They
heard her read.
They love the read.
Sign us up through June.
Yes, we want more TTNL. You want your balls shaved? You want to look nice? Feel good for the hot summer months, even though it was 72 degrees here today, Cherie. Tomorrow it's dropping down to 27. And then we're supposed to get a huge snowstorm on Friday. What are we doing here, Cherie?
You know what we're doing, Phil? We're breaking news here.
Breaking news. The Tape Never Lies Network. Breaking news.
Check that butthole out. Check that sweet little butthole, girl. Damn, I like that hole in your butt. Take it out. I want to take a good look. Ooh, nice job on your butthole. Goddamn, girl, I want to get up in that. Ooh, I want to take a little sniff. It smells like poopy. Butthole.
That is my favorite. If you go back and watch that, if you've never seen him, like the opening bit, like you kind of get into the beat, you're like, this is really nice. What's good? And then that happens. And to this day, all I have to do is play the intro and it gets stuck in my wife's head and she hates me for the rest of the day. So highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
Cherie, any comments on the new song?
Yeah, no, I'm not feeling that one.
You're not feeling that one? No. Listen, the Manscaped can go in places you've never thought it could possibly shave. That's what this is about. Speaking of feeding the ducks, Cherie, we got to feed our sponsor, Manscaped. Cherie, you ready for this? You want to be isolated up there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Breathe in, breathe out. We got this.
Do your thing, girl.
Okay. Clap it up if you're excited about the Manscaped launch. Let's give it up. They got a new launch coming up. Today, I'm excited to announce their brand new Ultra Premium collection. Believe it or not, they're moving above the bikini line. I'm talking about upgrading the man in your life's hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. It's an all-in-one skin and hair care kit for the everyday man that covers him from head to toe, literally. Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest. Help him join the 4 million men worldwide who look great and smell great thanks to Manscaped by going to manscaped.com. 20% off plus free shipping with code Shy City Sports. We all know what a game changer the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 has been for trimming below the waist. Now you can enhance his perfect grooming routine with their Ultra Premium collection. This package includes Manscaped Premium deodorant, not for his balls. Say goodbye to his smelly armpit hugs. This deodorant dries clear, is aluminum free, and smells like their signature scent. They have the hydrating body moisturizer. It's great for tattoos, which are very sexy, and issues with dry skin. It's designed to keep skin feeling clean, smooth, and smelling fresh. The body wash is to lather him up with their infused aloe vera and sea salt shower gel. This sounds like, okay. It's 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner A nourishing and luxurious 2-in-1, far above the rest. Infused with sea kelp and coconut water. Plus a free gift. You get a free pack set of lip balms that's made with ingredients like vitamin E, peppermint, and eucalyptus oil. To keep those lips feeling moist. A lip balm so good you're guaranteed to steal 1 or 2 from his set. That's 4 products plus the gift inside the Ultra Premium collection. All of these products are cruelty-free, paraben-free, vegan-friendly, and dye-free. The best ingredients with zero compromise. I'd recommend using the products in this order. Hop in the shower and scrub it up that body with the Manscaped body wash. Lather his luscious locks with 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner. Below the waist. Dry off and spray on the hydrating body moisturizer to reinvigorate dry skin. Oh, it's a thing on. That's cool. Put on the Manscaped deodorant for obvious reasons. Pop that Manscaped lip balm on. No more kissing chapped lips. How long is this fucking read? Getting dressed after is optional. One great scent all day long. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code ShyCitySports at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code ShyCitySports at manscaped.com. The only smell you'll want on him in a bottle. Thanks to Manscaped. I really hate y'all.
You're on the air, baby. You're on. You did it. You made.
Rebele looks like he's been Manscaped. Yeah. Cherie.
I had a good run. I updated my will. Cherie, do what you must. I'll get you.
Listen, put in that code, Shy City Sports, the Manscaped code right there. We hadn't had it up the whole time. We needed Jackal. Shy City Sports, 20% off plus free shipping. Cherie, you are the best.
Thank you. You don't know how difficult that is with all of y'all hot voices coming into the mic.
As long as it ain't hot breath. That's thank God. I like the whispers though.
Oh yeah. This makes me
make
think
a
of the
song,
whisper
cool,
song.
Kennedy.
So now I can't.
It's gonna be like pause.
Mookie Hill. Get your popcorn ready. Jackal don't do shit, yo. Where's Claudio, yo? He's out there at me. He's gotten it out, yo.
We need that block bitch t-shirt, Shayne.
Yes, Acevedo is not doing his job.
I need that. Cherie.
That should be a shirt too.
Cherie and Cars are the only ones that followed their directives this week. I asked every personality on TTNL, send me your full body.
You're lucky because he wasn't going to let you on the show, Cherie.
That's why Jackal and Claudio aren't here. They didn't fucking do it. Acevedo was going to come on the show this week. Nope.
Poor Cars had to do this.
Cars.
I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, and it was either like they cut off my head, which I have a large forehead, so I'm used to that, or they would be like cut off, like it was just, or they'd be like 40 feet away, and I'm like, Phil is gonna murder me if I try to send you a picture. You gotta like pinch and zoom in and be like, oh, there he is. Hey.
See, Will. He's happy. He's made it.
Cars takes this picture and it's perfect, but his hands are cut off. And I know Ron G.
Phil didn't really care. He just didn't want to get the machete from fucking Ron G. Who
Ron
started cutting people.
Ron G would have been pissed. Like, come on. I need their whole bodies. Cherie, you even got those Keepin It 100 leggings. How are those? Steph wants to know. Are they nice?
I like them. Yeah, they fit comfortably, and I mean the only thing is I'm not a big fan of shiny material, but The leggings themselves are comfortable.
Oh,
Cars
man,
couldn't rock them.
they look good, Cherie.
This invention here is called the Cobb Quickie.
Nobody wants to see my ass in stretchy pants. That's just asking for some sort of cease and desist letter. That's all I. You fuck yourself. Very true. Very true. Very true.
Listen,
Uh-oh.
Cherie did
Will's
the read.
making his move, Cherie.
Listen, you're gonna see the leggings on the next. Cherie is gonna be on the Keepin It 100
You gotta
thumbnail.
see the video, Will.
Oh, wait till you see the video.
Oh, did I drop that?
Yes.
Don't you're forgetting the
Angelo's
detailed
right.
calendar. I mean, it's
I can't believe I dropped that when I'm recording. I'll be right back.
Where's Rank again?
Who is the most underrated player still under contract? Jack.
Man. All right. I'm going to throw a curveball here and say Eddie Jackson.
Smoke weed every day.
how do you know like stats off the back of your hand, but clearly have no concept of or understanding of what the word underrated means? I don't understand that.
Well,
Over, yes, not under.
if he said over, that would have been the right answer.
Yes.
Even Gary Williams thinks there's hope.
There's hope, guys.
I just don't think there's any for John Wood as a GM. Sorry, John.
Thank God.
I rely on one nerd for my alerts and my toughness and humor and stats. That's our guy at Bears Nerd. If you're listening on the podcast version, please do me a favor. Follow him on Twitter. Follow at Shayne Marsaw. That's Shayne with a Y.
Yeah.
N-E.
Don't forget that Y. If you're gonna bitch
Marsaw.
about me, at least spell my fucking name right. That's what I say.
Marsaw. And
That's right.
follow Cherie at LadyBear83 on Twitter. Some of you guys, I don't know how, I always say this is not a podcast. It's a TV show that becomes a podcast. That's the real truth, because we put a lot of time and energy into the visual of these things, not just the, talking or anything that we do the visual. Speaking of visual, it's that time of the show where H.L. Priest gets fired up, but bobs his head while he gets fired up.
Shout out Tape Never Lies. Shout out, I know you hear me, baby. Shout out, I know you see me, baby. Shout out, we gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew, gotta show love too. Shout out, I know you hear me, baby. Shout out, I know you see me, baby. Shout out, we gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew, gotta show love too. From the fans in the stands to the follows on the gram. Thanks for your support, showing love in the DM. We stay Spencer's on, fight together till the end. Now it's time to shout out worldwide friends and fam. Like
the network that keeps it real, 100 crew. So many in the world that I gotta show love to. For some, this part signal show is at its end, but for me it's so important to thank the charter members and the fans. Built the network, speak the truth through the tape. Never run around the truth, no narratives we create. Set them straight, no bubble screen on 4th and 8. Audio Shayne getting nervous, cause keeping them up too late. That's it, no more to say to get the shot of vital. But hurry up, cause the postman's getting homicidal.
shout out,
Spencer Strong.
I know you hear me, baby. Shout out, I know you see me, baby. Shout out, we gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew, gotta show love too. Shout out, I know you hear me, baby. Shout out, I know you see me, baby. Shout out, we gotta holler at you. Keep it 100 crew, gotta show love too.
The network that keeps it real. Spencer Strong.
guess this is the shout out music without Claudio tonight.
No,
Where is
I got it. I was working on something else.
Oh, a surprise. Shane's always ready for a surprise.
And now I'm nervous that he has a picture of me.
Oh,
yeah.
You never know.
Oh, I know. I know.
Maybe
Well, I know.
Maybe Cherie should be sweating.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna.
There's no need to be nervous. Spencer Strong. Happy birthday to Spencer today.
Big 3-year-old, yeah.
Big 3-year-old
Felt
today.
a little under the weather for his birthday, but we're gonna send him that positive energy to him and the Cox family. Yeah, big day for Spencer. 3 years old.
3 years old. It's the title of this segment here as you guys are watching it. The Spencer Strong, Riley Strong. I got the pleasure of seeing Riley a couple weeks ago here, growing his hair back, shooting threes, draining stuff. Guy's got the
he didn't care.
Bill Paxton set shot down.
He didn't care at all about mingling with the O's. He wanted straight to the basketball court.
Oh yeah. We went on the tour. He was shooting hoops down there. So there you go. I'm excited about these guys. 3 years old. Cancer is the worst. Let's just keep it 100 there. This is a show. We always say it's about family. TTNL's family. I always thought, and Shayne agreed, that it's important, despite what the old network said, to shout out you fans that tune in and make sure you're here every week for the live show. And if you can't, you're watching the show the next day, but you're interactive. You guys mean a lot. So this is always about you guys and our lives. We do have a lot going on in the real life other than the show. So Shayne, we'll start with Cherie. What am I doing? I always go up in the upper right. So we'll move Cherie to where she belongs.
Breaking news. The Tape Never Lies Network. Breaking news.
TTNL swag shop is open. Cherie's leggings are on sale. Hey, Will. There you go, buddy. I'm not going to show the whole picture because I don't want to embarrass Cherie too much. So, just like with Manscaped, we go from the waist down. But we love you, Cherie.
There you go. Go over there, ttnlswag.com. You will get to the swag shop. You can get yourself some swag like
Bars
that.
is trying to contain his laughter.
Also,
I
do us
know,
a favor.
like all I knew was when that broke, nothing good was going to come after that.
As
And
soon
it was
as
like,
I hit the breaking news thing, I see Cherie's face like,
Hey, Will. There you go. Get over there. Get the swag. Keeping it 100 here. TTNL swag. Speaking of, look at Will's got a tongue swagging.
Thirsty.
Thirsty. Do you have any shout outs, Cherie?
Of course I do. So like you said, happy belated birthday to Spencer. I believe Riley has the birthday coming up.
Friday, the big bad 11-year-old coming up.
Happy early birthday to Riley.
Wow. This Friday?
Yep.
Look at that. My gift's gonna be late, Riley.
I wonder why. I'm not sure why.
Just figure. Anyway, I'll save it for my shout outs.
Don't send him leggings.
I won't send him those.
And also happy birthday to my sis from another mister. She was my battle buddy, my ride or die, while we were deployed. So my second deployment. So happy birthday, Bird.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. We turned in I'm not gonna put our age out there, she might kill me. But happy birthday, Bird. Yeah. Glad Cam is coming home, so congratulations to that. That's great news.
Cam.
I saw somebody else in the chat say that their birthday is in like 35 minutes. So
Who was it? You got to star it so we can go
Where
back.
goes
one? Yeah.
Where goes one? What the hell is your real name? That's where I want to go with that. Where goes one?
Happy birthday, Where Goes One. Now go sign up for our Patreon and we'll talk about your birthday.
So,
TapeNeverlies.com.
Having fun with the people in the chat, interacting with you guys. Thank you all for the support and love that y'all show, despite the crazy people that I have to deal with on this show. So
yes, thank you all.
I'm innocent. It's these other two guys.
No, Carl, you're
no.
Like the dude said, you're normally the one that keeps it together. I'm a little shocked that you joined in. With
I'm just glad I don't have any access to the controls back here, so I always get, implicated in these things, but
no, thank you guys. I always have fun when I'm hanging out with y'all, so I appreciate it.
We love you, Cherie.
Cherie, honestly, you stepped up in a pinch.
I really love you, Cherie.
You better hope Eli isn't watching, man.
Hey,
it could cause some basement effects.
They can have a little smartest man sandwich. Those nice, Cherie.
I think that really does.
You need postage stamps, Cherie? I'll drive them to you.
That really brings that.
I said, hey, oh, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. I said,
there they are. There it is. I hear. Were you hearing the echo?
I heard the echo.
Yeah, it was so weird. It's like someone was on the air playing the show. Might have been Shayne.
It was Jackal.
Fucking Jackal.
Shayne, do you have any shout? Cherie, we do love you. Thank you for stepping up in a pinch. Jackal and Claudio didn't take their pictures. We banned them from the show. They were suspended. You came in here 20 minutes before and was like, yo, I go, are you going to be ready to moderate tonight? You going to intro? And your response was, yeah.
Fuck Claudio.
Exact words. Yes. Exact words. You can print that and quote it, etch it in
her
stone.
exact words were, sure, LOL.
Yo, this is Claudio the Barber. 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 Yo, this is
There you go.
The full one. That's impressive.
LOL behind everything because I never know when y'all fucking with me. So in case, I just put LOL.
Is that your first F-bomb on the show?
Yes, that absolutely is.
I really think we gotta cut that.
It's her third because 2 other times she said "fuck Greg Baggs." So that other than those two, that's.
And I stand by that statement.
Yeah.
Oh.
She did have a. It's TTNL. Damn it. That was about as salty as she got. Yeah.
That was as salty as she got.
Yep. Until
tonight.
Okay, she doubled
salty.
down.
Bam.
Right, nobody likes Braggs.
Nobody likes Braggs.
Then let me do what I had to do.
Exactly. Listen, someone was saying that work that ass for daddy's getting old.
Oh, well.
AGM is saying that. I don't know. I don't agree. I think it's staple show of the show.
It is.
I honestly, though, really want to. Maybe I got to do it because I always forget. Just get the part with work that ass for daddy. Oh, I love.
Actually, it's not even the funniest part. I have like the original.
It's my favorite part, I'm saying.
Oh, I know, but there is one that's even more graphic in that song. There's a part that I actually have the clip of.
When he goes, I'm eating on a licking, that part?
No. Worse.
No, there's
worse than that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I'm just looking back through here to see if I can find it real quick.
Oh, he was talking
15
about
mini
losing was getting old. Okay, I thought he was talking about the song. Anyway, Cars, do you have anyone you want to shout out?
You know, everybody, it's a tough time to try to talk the Bears since there's no news, and I have to watch Pat McAfee to find anything maybe interesting. So
what a crock of shit that was.
That was awful.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it's fun to be able to come on here and interact with everybody. Everybody's so active, so talkative, kind of the back and forth. It makes it a lot of fun when it's not a lot of fun to watch or talk about the Bears. So thanks everybody for that.
Well,
good stuff.
Very well said, and I appreciate it. Shayne?
Yeah, Cherie pointed it out. Riley's birthday coming up on Friday. So, it's a big one for us with everything, that we went through. He's healthy and thriving. Just love to see actually the man that he is becoming, even though he's only going to be 11 years old, you can see the changes in him already. He's always going to be my little boy, but he's starting to grow up where he doesn't need mommy and daddy as much as he used to. So that's, it's a little bit heartbreaking at the same time, but I'm excited about the confidence that he carries himself with and who he is, quickly becoming and where he is going. But, Riley, I love you. Happy birthday. I can't wait to spend Friday and Saturday with you. We're going to have a little get together Saturday evening with some close family, just kind of hang out and chill. So looking forward to that. But friend of the show, Mikey Tenorelli.
Mikey T.
Going to be a big day for him on Friday. Also, he is getting married.
There you go.
Him and Mrs. the future Mikey, Mrs. Mikey Tenorelli.
I met Mrs. Tenorelli out there.
They are in Cabo right now, getting ready for the big day on Friday.
Is Alex Acevedo with him? I'm just curious.
No, I think they kept him in the trunk. But no, shout out to Mikey and his beautiful wife to be. Hope everything goes off great for you guys. Huge fan of you. You've been a long-time supporter of us, so hope you guys begin this long journey together, and hopefully it's prosperous and fruitful for you both. Love you guys and appreciate all the support. So that's kind of where I'm at. Cam, obviously a big day for you getting the clearance to come home. I believe tomorrow, right, is when he's going to be hopefully coming home. So that's great. Got to get him back on the show when he's ready to go. Not for too long.
Back on the show.
We'll give him 2 or 3 minutes to get his point across, and we'll boot his ass off. No, I'm kidding, bro. But no, glad to get you back home. Got to take care of those cats. Josh, he says. Josh, he called me. He's like, "Oh man, Cam's cat died." Phil and I were feeling terrible. Just didn't know he had 12 other ones, but he loves those cats. We love you. We love you, Cam.
He's coming home tomorrow. Look at him.
Home. That's right.
There he is.
He even spelled my name wrong. I'm not even going to make fun of him.
That's the only time, Shayne, you can say, "Where's the Y?"
Yeah, where's the Y? We gotta
find the Y, Cam. Gotta find.
I'm numb to it at this point. That's been the story of my life. I even have...
Everybody's tiptoeing around the Y now.
Yeah.
As a parent, have you ever said to your daughter's cars, like, "We gotta figure out the Y"?
God, no. No, I think I say something like, "What the are you thinking?" I think that's instead
Why?
of why. Yeah.
Why?
No, that's them in the back seat. Why? Why?
Oh my God, they're at the Y age.
Oh, it's
why? Why is the sky blue? Why does the car?
Why did the bad guy in this movie do this? That's the one I get the most. Like, can you explain to me what's going on in Thanos' head, Daddy? Why he wants to kill everybody? And you're like,
Sounds about like maybe they sent something in you to be able to answer that.
They haven't figured out that Daddy's full of shit more often than anything, so I've got that going for me.
Well, it is a tough thing to be a parent. I shout out all the great mom and dads out there that are actually teaching the whys. There's moments as a dad, I had the experience of girls being a girl's dad when they're that age, and now with the boys. And the boys have asked more questions that are tough that I've found. They have been the more tough ones. For me, that's been my experience. But listen, I got to shout out my kids, my wife. It's been a crazy time at the Atoshan house because of selling the house and finding the house, a new house at the same time. So that is not an easy task. So I want to shout out my wife, all she does here. Tonight, obviously, shouting out Riley. Happy birthday, buddy, this Friday. You could just tell when a kid is got he's raised right. There's certain empathetic codes that I pick up on.
I heard his dad is amazing. So.
I heard his dad is one of the most overrated players under contract, so I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure that that's true.
Yes, but shout out to your son. As we do the shout outs, his birthday. I want to shout out, obviously, Cam going home. You've been just, always in our thoughts, in our prayers. And this has been a journey for you. I know you and your family and a bunch of 100 crew. You guys have all stepped up to help support Cam and see him go home. I'm 100% with you, Shayne. When he's ready, we got to bring him on the show.
Yeah, solid 2-3 minutes.
2-3 minutes. I'll ask 41 questions. Cam will get none. Hey, I got to shout out our guy, though, tonight. Alberto Valdez.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alberto Valdez. Here he is right there. Huge fan of the network. Reached out to me and Shayne, I think, real quick.
Yeah.
Right after we left the old network. And he had me rolling. And he was right, Shayne. He was like, this old bastard's gonna rue the day that he let you two go. That was his exact.
I remember we met with him on the phone, and Phil had talked to him first, and Phil told me, he's like, bro, just so you know, this dude loves to talk.
Yes.
And he wasn't kidding.
You think I like to talk? Alberto loves to talk. But in all seriousness, we got, Alberto's had been waiting for a kidney for a long time, and he's been in the hospital. Things have taken a toll on him. He's got a beautiful family. He expressed so much love for us shouting him out, and also our guy Loki, who also was shouting him out, who's a friend of ours here. Our guys over at the Hacienda del Oso show. Our guy Loki shouting out Alberto Valdez. Say some prayers, guys. Chicago Bears fan forever. There's a Facebook group. You want to get over there and let Alberto, who helped start that page and continues to go strong there. I just asked. The power of positivity has shown up on this network many a time. And I don't know that a network has had to deal with a lot of the stuff that we've had to deal with.
It's been a crazy year. And then
been a crazy year, right?
This on top of it. It's a cherry on the top of the sundae.
But I also really really appreciate Alberto and his support. So please let him know you're thinking of him. I also want to shout out Jason Onstad, who's sent these gifts to my dad. The whiteboard has been a big hit on the patron side.
He's going to be a guest coming up. Full
show coming up. Full show. So I want to shout him out. I think he's in the chat still. I want to shout him out. I also want to shout out our guest tonight, Mark Potash, who was tremendous. And when our fans go out of their way to try to make that bridge and cross that bridge and get people on this show, on this network, I would be remiss if I didn't shout out our guy Bullets to help me, who initiated that campaign, and Chris Jackal, who helped finish it and was communicating. I know Chris has had obviously our thoughts and prayers are with Chris Jackal as well. We joke around. We love Chris. He's doing a lot of work behind the scenes of the show. I'm only laughing because I could see something Shayne has uploaded.
This one?
Yo, this is Mike off TTNL Network, coming straight out of the region. Fire Matt Nagy. Fire him now. Hashtag sell the team. There it out.
Told him.
Yes.
But real quick before
I love Mike Haw. Shout him out. Mike Haw.
No, that's why I did it. He was doing his shout out, so I always add it. But this was the original Mark Rebele clip. And if you think that the other one was X-rated, this one...
I'm sorry, Cherie.
This one drops the fucking
Pretty
hammer.
sure he sent it to me before.
We'll play it real
then
quick.
play Mike Haw after it, okay? Again.
But yeah, this is the
region.
This was the original one that we should
Region.
probably go back to. But yes,
Daddy.
Oh
Oh man, that's my favorite part. Not that, but yeah. I like that part. Keep that one loaded up.
Yeah, the other one's a little
Do you
bit
think
long.
that dude was upset with the pussy part of this thing?
I don't really particularly give a fuck. I mean, if his actually we'll get him and his girlfriend on the show.
All right.
I'll interview both of them.
Reach out to us. We got to get you on the show.
I'm so upset about it. Cherie block Logan. That's how upset I am about
Yes. Logan and Thunder Girl. Cherie just totally shit all over them last week.
Yo, this is Mike off TTNL Network, coming straight out of the region. Fire Matt Nagy. Fire him now. Hashtag sell the team. There it out.
Fire now. Mike did it. Mike did it.
Does not look methed out. I'm not too thrilled with that as a picture. But just kidding, Jackal. Love you.
It's great. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Guys, we did it all. We said it all. This is when cars
We've
bounce.
said too much.
We've said too much. We love you guys. Dion Miller next week. And Herb Lawrence.
I hope Dion didn't watch any of the end of the show tonight. I would.
She's watching. She knows our show.
Yeah.
Come on. Dion is great.
Oops.
Oh, you guys are great tonight. Thank you guys. If you have a shout out, throw it in the chat. We'll play it as we go out. We love you, Trent. Trent spoke some great words on the network, and we appreciate that. Do us a favor,
The photographer, maybe he can do some leggings photos.
Leggings
for
photo?
TTNL. He's got that good camera, Cherie.
I talked to our boy Lemuel Stinson. He wants to come back on the show. I talked to him today. Got to get him back on. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Damn it!
Must have been at the top of your fucking class.
Exactly. I held it too long, so we gotta
we have
clip
to
it.
cut off the end.
Yeah, it pauses, or you gotta press it again. Let's try it again.
Trent's in. Cherie.
Trent's in. Trent's in.
So all of y'all gonna be rocking some leggings too?
At 100%.
Absolutely.
Listen, do me a favor, guys.
And start doing squats now.
Hit the subscribe, hit the like button. If you're just tuning in, if you're driving your truck like my boy, Mr. Smith, my boy, Dave Smith, you're driving that truck, Clint, big Clint, enjoy the show. I hope you guys all enjoy the show. Again, Herb Lawrence, right? Herb Lawrence. What's he?
Howard.
Howard.
Yeah. Not Herb Lawrence.
What's his name? Herb
No.
Howard?
Yeah.
Herb
so.
Howard. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Herb Lawrence is the other one that hates me.
Oh.
That's cool. Yeah.
No, there's not just two. Don't sell yourself short.
Does
And
Herb,
yeah.
Does Herb Howard hate you too?
No.
Probably. Not
I don't
yet.
think so. Not that I know of. I know Herb Lawrence was the whole Lawrence Holmes fallout when I called out there.
He doubled
They used to have the
down.
post-game show with Briggs and Forte and Alex Brown on NBC Sports Chicago back in the day, and I called it out. I'm like, these guys have access to these players, and the post-game sucked. And I put it on Twitter. I'm like, if you want to watch a good post-game show, come watch us. And this is when we were with the other network, and Herb Lawrence was the producer, and he got pissed, and he came after me. And then Lawrence Holmes, not essentially, his exact words were, "Yo, kid, you never know who's gonna make or break you in this business." I'm like, I'm probably older than you are, Lawrence. At this point, you ain't gonna make or break me. You know,
Right.
At this point, I was doing it for fun, which is fine. I actually respect Lawrence. He's a good dude. He's talented. I just thought
extend the olive
I thought
branch.
the post game show could have been much better than it was, and they all got booted from that show, and they did a different thing anyway. But I thought it could have been way better. It was more them just not really taking anything football serious at the time, and it just
They're
rubbed
the
me
opposite of Potash.
Yeah, but
That's
that
what
was the
they
whole.
took it.
That was the whole. Julie DeCaro came after me. Remember? And then,
Oh my God.
the whole thing. Who the fuck?
Karma
does this guy
hit her
think he-
with a fucking bat.
Yeah, right in her dick.
Brandon Livingston, 2nd year anniversary of his dad passing this Sunday. He's how I found you guys. R.I.P. Love you, Pops. That is awesome. Your dad let you in on Shayne and Cars, Cherie, and everybody here at TTNL. All those antics. Shout out your dad.
Absolutely,
Cindy,
man.
shout out for better health. Lisa Foster, rest in peace. 1 year. You guys are shouting out people. I love it. That will bring us to an end of this week. Like I said, Dion Miller next week with Herb Howard. I apologize, Herb.
Hopefully, I didn't
fucking
fuck it
your
up.
name.
But
I fucked it up.
what's up, Herb? Give me some fucking names.
I'm trying. Herb Howard. Herb Howard. Herb Howard next week. A double dose of guests. This weekend, though, X's with the O's. Break it down. James Daniels and Draft Mob. I totally dropped. Do you remember the kid, the center that we're breaking down from Chattanooga?
Oh
my God.
have the stuff.
Where's Bellissimo when you need him?
It's way too late
It is.
for me to.
He's gonna hate you guys so much.
Okay. We love you guys. We'll get his name for you. We'll be promoting it all weekend. I apologize. Cole Strange.
Yes.
Thank you, Foster Covers. I'm gonna have to give Foster Covers something. DM me what size. I still owe Early Deloach.
Send him some
T-shirt.
leggings.
Send him some leggings. Thank you.
I think we found our new staple.
Strange. We're gonna
You
Cole
gotta see the
Strange.
video, Cars. I'll send it to you.
I can't.
Please don't.
I can't believe I dropped that.
I will not be allowed to wake up in the morning. So
Cole Strange will be live with us this Sunday, breaking down his tape, getting you ready for the NFL Combine. He wants to come on the show before. he has to go to Indy and perform.
Yeah, we have some NFL draft prospects committed already. It's coming on.
We've already got them on the patron side. Become a patron, thetapeneverlies.com. For Bears Nerd, Mr. Cars, he found a sister and he found a family in the same year here at TTNL, the extended family. I don't know who he puts first. Jeff Burton, Bullets. Do you have a favorite fan, Cars? Is there somebody?
My wife.
Well played. Well played.
Hopefully I'll be allowed in bed tonight.
Cherie, I appreciate you doing the read, producing, helping out. We got more jobs for you, Cherie, coming up this off season. It's going to be a lot of fun here.
I thought of a couple more after those leggings, Cherie.
Oh my gosh, shut up, Shay.
And for Shayne, the smartest man, follow him at Shayne Marsaw. I'm saying this more now. We got to get these. If somebody has 10,000 followers and they're telling somebody that
I had some
Montgomery
good numbers on my
makes
old one. Yeah, so yeah, definitely follow me on Twitter. I got to get my numbers up there.
Get his numbers.
Start
up.
over.
Subscribe to all these peeps. Follow me on Instagram at Phil_Toshin. We'll see you guys next week.
It rhymes with lotion.
That's right. Rhymes with lotion.
Shayne's gonna go work that ass for daddy now. Thanks, everybody.
I hope so.
This has been a Shy City Sports presentation and a Tape Never Lies Network production. Keeping it 100. Thanks for tuning in to the Tape Never Lies Network.
Yo, this is Mike off TTNL Network, coming straight out of the region. Fire Matt Nagy.